Okay.
I think that the state of ZS and the way that people feel about it is because the game's currently balanced around insta kills, like early game based on buffs.
I think the biggest threat that mechanic might add would be Cater's rely on Wave 1 being perfectly safe.
People have been unhappy with most recent updates because it's usually involving nerfs or disabling content or removing something. There hasn't really been any buffs.
The thing is, that Wave 1, Wave 2 medics is pretty much the whole encompassing on getting the points earlier on because of people getting hurt way too much during that time.
It's there's a lot more tools to augment single player's damage. I think we talked about buffs a bit earlier. Like I said, I've been out of the game for a while, but I remember these things being big concerns around the time that I headed out. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ZS Dev podcast / Q&A. I'm going to start taking requests soon. But first, I want to discuss the poll.
Yes, the poll.
It's very evident that people are not that unhappy, but they're relatively unhappy about the current state of ZS. I wonder why. Probably because of Gorma.
That's not that fair, okay? Listen.
Okay.
I think that the state of ZS and the way that people feel about it is because the game's currently balanced around insta kills, like early game based on buffs. And the balance between that and have enough damage reduction to actually survive the early game. I don't necessarily think it's the whole encompassing issue. I just think it's a big part of it. But that's basically my draw from it.
I think we're going to need to see some stats to back this up.
Yeah. I think a lot of things are based on feeling.
You gotta give me access to the database again. We could talk about that. Last time I did graphs, though, people were pretty confrontational about it. Even though I tried not to make any assumptions based on the data.
I guess I could get on the database and start looking.
Yes.
There are a lot of stats regarding rounds.
Yeah.
But niche cases like just the state of the game is just based off feeling, so going off graphs, it's a little hard.
Well, I'm just
definitely. I agree with that 100%.
But it's a very broad question.
Well, I think it's the overall just like feeling of how the things are in the games right now. Some of the things that can happen early game, from what I've seen, can be very either like aggravating or just not as like intuitive. But again, it's multiple like factors that make the whole experience, you know.
Hey, Poofla, what do you think about the current state of ZS?
People have been unhappy with most recent updates because it's usually involving nerfs or disabling content or removing something. There hasn't really been any buffs since the scope, since the sigil rifts has been about what can we nerf instead of buff, what can we avoid power creeping. And I think a lot of people got unhappy because every day they just see more and more nerfs coming in, not many buffs or anything like that. I think a lot of people don't like Wave 1 anymore as much just because it's so based off of reflexes and who can shoot the zombie before they render in from the gas. I think a lot of that comes down to just melee weapons dealing a lot of damage, but I guess they have to, and just so much firepower, and zombies' health, they don't scale as much either because Z-Director doesn't affect health scaling anymore, so zombies would just get shredded to bits. There was one thing that I've been working on today, which may help make Wave 1 and 2 a lot more interesting, which doesn't involve giving zombies sickness claws anymore, increasing health. No buffs like that. But I think I'll talk about that a bit more later. But I think that's the majority feeling, is that there's just been a lot of nerfs in that, and it just sucks to play zombie on Wave 1 or even try to shoot zombies on Wave 1. It's just not very fun at the moment.
Well, personally, I think that wave 1 and 2 have to be easy. Only because those two waves decide the entire game, and if people get stomped early, then nobody really likes that. Like, even if people think that it needs to be challenging, it'll ruin the entire flow of the game if wave 1 and wave 2 are absurdly hard, or there's like too many opportunities to die.
Yeah, I don't think steamrolling should be a thing on wave 1 and 2. It's not healthy.
But yeah, I agree. But that's been ZS for a while. Like, wave 1 and 2 is all about point management, early
Well,
powers to
Hold on.
a late game.
could this be related to how it seems like more so in this year than the previous years that zombies? I know you mentioned the health scaling, but like zombies just like completely evaporate because they evaporate to a certain extent, like earlier and like earlier ZS lifespan because you have to spawn camp. But now it feels like if you're not Z protected and if you don't have any director buffs, you just kind of like get headshot and killed instantly, or you get stunned by something, or you just die instantly. But it's kind of a hard balancing act because like you want the zombie to feel playable early and you want to make it feel good, but the issue is you also want to make it so people on wave 1 and 2 can get points. I think the issue is very complex, and I don't know if there'll ever be like a good like sweet spot. I think the kill time for zombie has somehow gone like down. I think they die even faster than what they did before, even before the health scaling, and I don't know if that's because of the weapon balance or from just buffs in general.
It's just more players in general as well.
No.
More guns.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It's player
It's more
count. It's there's a lot more tools to augment single player's damage. I think we talked about buffs a bit earlier. Like I said, I've been out of the game for a while, but I remember these things being big concerns around the time that I headed out. So that's what I could think of off the top of my head.
Though I do want to bring up a point. Didn't we just disable health scaling because of the point?
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
the point pool because we humans were getting so much
Yes.
points because of the health scaling. As
But
well.
I
Health
had no
scaling
problem
is
with that.
a can of worms. The issue is that you get more points over the course of the entire game, and health scaling is questionably effective for zombies. I remember last time we did that, it just resulted in more varied games where either humans would use the health scaling to get like a ridiculous amount of points early and then just steamroll, or the zombies would just end the game early because they had more health. I don't remember there being a lot of in-betweens, but, you know, perhaps it's worth another visit.
Well, lots of people ask me to disable health scaling, though, because zombies just had too much health. And then as soon as I removed it, then you had people complaining, saying, why did you remove health scaling? You're dying even quicker now, so it's tough to get that right.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that... Maybe health scaling really isn't the best idea, but...
Well, we do currently use health scaling, but it's a lot more subtle, because it's health per human. So the more humans there are in the game, the more zombie health there is, as well as corrupt sigils increase your health a bit. But Z-Director was doing a bigger push on this. Every time it got angrier, the zombies would get more and more health. But since that's been cut out now, we've gone back to a more subtle level of health scaling that we've had for quite some time now.
I mean, there is... well, again, it's about like what our goals are. Is it that it's too... Playing zombie on wave 1 is too punishing? Or is it that it's just like not fun? And how do we make it fun without... introducing that kind of steamroll potential again,
Yeah, that's the issue, I think, is if you want wave 1 and wave 2 zombies to actually feel impactful, if they give more power, then it just leads to steamrolls because of the way the power curve works in ZS, which is kind of weird at the moment, but that's a different point. I guess we can just get to that later.
Well, I've got a potential solution for the wave 1 zombies dying too fast problem that I've been working on today and yesterday. And that's a dynamic spawn that can happen once on wave 1, and it'll just be at a random node location. And when it spawns, zombies can just spawn off of it as normal. So it's essentially a flesh creeper nest, but it's a lot tougher, and I think some people have seen how it works. But the idea is to keep humans on their toes, so at one point, zombies just start spawning from another location. And I think that might be a fun way of making it more interesting for both teams, especially zombies. since you're no longer just running in front of 50 players spawn camping you or whatever. You just started to spawn in a random location with the rest of your zombie buddies.
Oh.
That nest is limited as well, so it only lasts for a certain amount and humans can destroy it, but it's just something extra to make it a bit more interesting on Wave 1.
Though that wouldn't be highly map dependent on
It would
bigger
be.
maps. Yeah, like
It would
Small
be,
maps,
of
it might
course.
screw over really hard.
Can I ask also, how does lingering immunity, like spawn protection, work on that? Do you just get spawn protection and buffs from metagame and Z Director, or do you
On what?
the nest when you spawn on it? Do you get?
Well, it's just
nothing?
a normal creeper nest, really. So as soon as you
okay.
spawn on it, you can be shot.
Actually, I think that would be interesting because on Wave 1, I mean, I know we disabled nests, and back in the day they were pretty problematic on the earlier waves, but having that in the sort of controlled manner would force humans to kind of
Yeah, I think
distract from the spawn camp for a bit. It would give zombies the potential to surprise them. But again, it's going to be kind of node dependent. We might need to have a new type of sort of sigil node for that.
That might
Like
actually help with
whatever.
That might actually help with dude, eating all the zombies with all those Z spawns in one area.
Yeah.
Now he might have to go to another area to eat all
Well,
the
the thing with nodes is you can influence where things will spawn on depending on zombie gas, sigils, or whatever. So you can add bias. So let's say you want the worm to spawn closer to a Z gas so it doesn't spawn right outside of a cade on Wave 1 and just kill everyone. You can make it spawn somewhere that would still be a bit more fair, but keep humans on their toes.
It's okay. I'm waiting for when it's eventually enabled, and then the first game it just spawns inside a cade and kills everyone.
Yeah, well, it's already in the game. The support there. I'd have to spawn it at the moment. So I might do that this weekend, just a few times, just to see what happens.
No, it's fine. It's just part of testing any type of new mechanic.
I think the biggest threat that mechanic might add would be caters rely on Wave 1 being perfectly safe. There have been so many times when if you wanted a free kill, you could just sneak out of spawn as a zombie and go after the cater. It
Hey,
also makes the cater really mad.
Don't expose my strats for getting boss.
I think that's a fair kind of thing to do though, because I think Wave 1 and 2 it really is about protecting the cater. And
That's why sigil protection exists.
Yeah, we got sigil protection now, so I don't think that's that bad of a threat.
I do think there's an issue though with sigil protection where, I think Magic's right to an extent where it sometimes doesn't extend far enough to actually be where the cater is actually cading, but I don't think you can really make the AoE bigger because it's map dependent, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it go through walls.
Well, that's just like a fallback. People should still protect the barricader.
Yeah, but the issue is that typically now more people want to spawn camp to try to get points early, so there's less.
That's always been the case.
I know.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, as for the state of the game, I think we kind of get a feel for where we're at. So the next poll question: within the past 6 months, how have updates impacted your ZS experience? So I guess that kind of ties into the current state, but most people seem to be unhappy about that as well. And
Yeah, I think I did cover that. It's just been since the sigil rifts, it's been the focus on what can we nerf instead of power creep, and I think a lot of people don't like that. We've just been disabling or removing content or nerfing stuff without compensating in any way. The only real compensation we did was with the reload skills at one point. Magic Swap had to buff a bunch of weapons, but even that came a bit too late and pissed a bunch of people off. So I think in the future there's something to be learned from there. So we don't piss people off as much.
the reload stuff.
I know.
Yeah, we did like a bunch of major updates, but that's like one of the things we wanted to do is take reload out of the skill tree, which is like something that's been gradually done over time. Is like a lot of passive skills and stats have just been removed from the skill tree.
I know.
Like that, like a long time ago, like gun skills basically were just a must take and they were free. And we tried to get rid of that.
To be fair, all of the reload skills in the skill tree were actually take them.
Well, yeah, well, that's because it feels like you have to take them, and that's what I didn't want that. Like I didn't I don't think anybody really wanted that. They just wanted like reload speed, but people are really unhappy with just losing reload speed, and that did have like an impact on the overall DPS and zombie
Well,
like way
well, to
towering
be
over
fair,
that.
well, to be fair, I actually had to take them because I was like reloading very slowly on most of the weapons.
Yeah, and that
and
was
even then, the fucking recoil was actually annoying, but I had to
Yeah.
deal with it.
that was the problem. Is like those guns should not feel bad without skills.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that entire update was trying to fix, but it was done kind of like I think it was done too quickly without too many compensations.
I
It
think
was a good opportunity to lift up some underused guns,
Yeah.
while keeping the top level guns where they were.
I think making reload speed conditional and making it not free on the tree makes it so you can actually balance weapons around their own stats and the reload speed, especially because
Yep.
on some weapons it was abusing on some weapons the free reload speed that wasn't tier scaled was making them either completely useless if you didn't have reload speed or made them too like DPS hosey, kind of like the old Uzi before it got nerfed. So I think actually balancing it around tier scaling and conditional stuff is actually a lot better for the game because it means that you're able to individually buff weapons with their stats and make them feel good as opposed to always needing, reload like perks to make them feel halfway decent.
Yeah, generally the entire point of that was to make it so guns could actually be useful without skills, so we could actually have more control over the individual balance of a weapon and not having to worry about skills bumping them up to where they shouldn't be. Because at the end of the day, I think most people want a large variety of weapons viable, which is playing into the next question in the poll. I think most people prefer variety. And the entire point of that was to add more variety in weapons you can use. I mean, everybody wants their favorite weapon to be good, or like a weapon they like to be good. But sometimes we kind of just had to shaft them because external factors make them really broken.
That's an interesting poll question because I wonder who are the people who voted that balance is most important to them in CS.
I think it's a joke. I actually don't think anyone cares that much.
They really care about the.
I mean, if you want to start pulling names, we totally can.
Okay, I didn't say you can only pick one. I mean, you could have just picked all of them, I guess. You could have just ticked I like balance and variety. But, I mean, nobody really did that. Everyone just said variety and fun over anything else.
Well, the thing is, variety and balance kind of go hand in hand. I remember people got angry at me because I nerfed the blood armor reduction on the tree, but I was trying to make it so health builds are more appealing because I'd rather have it so blood armor reduction and blood armor in general feel good versus health builds as opposed to everyone running blood armor reduction to prevent getting one shot. So it's one of those things where like balance trying to promote like healthy alternative like play styles as opposed to the same.
Nerf should provide Nerf should provide room for something to be taking its place. I don't think something should just be nerfed for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And
that's why
it's kind of what people feel like when things are constantly nerfed and when nothing's like changed and nothing's buffed in its place.
Yeah.
When you take something away, it feels infinitely worse than gaining something. So
that's why like for Iron Blood I moved some of it to the health percentage, and then I believe I changed something else around. I think it was the other blood armor reduction perk where it makes more sense as a blood armor max downside. So it makes it so you have to build around these downsides, and maybe if it's too weak, I could change some of the melee stuff. But it's melee is so touchy early game that it's
we don't want something so broken that it overshadows opportunities to add more stuff.
Yeah,
is the thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't overshadow the other options that already exist too. Because I feel like as a DPS player, you really are pressured to use what's optimal because the faster you get points, the faster you can move on to the next tier, and then you kind of snowball. So if you're playing quote unquote suboptimally and you're not filling a niche, you're going to just get left behind by the end. That's why I feel like so many people are driven towards that sort of meta thing, and that's where
balance and variety and fun are linked, like you said before, Gorma.
Yeah, and people need to get a lot of points to finish builds because builds are really expensive a lot of the times. Like getting a really cool build online takes like sometimes it could take like up to like thousands of points if you want to like really perfect it. I mean, nobody wants to like be forced to play a play style they don't want to play to get that.
Absolutely. I think that that's one of the things that, like, when I played ZS, I hated having to buy, like, if I wanted to play, for example, Medic or whatever,
Yep.
just random example, I didn't want to have to buy a gun to play Medic. I wanted to start the round healing people, and I wanted to then build into more medical stuff. I didn't want to, like, start playing a different game for 5 minutes and then start playing the game that I want to play, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and over time, I think we have to do better making strides that we don't have to like nerf medics to you know, make it so that playing medic early is the most point efficient thing you can do to get your DPS upgrades.
Yeah.
And I think we missed the mark on that recently as well, the medic lesson stuff.
The thing is, that Wave 1, Wave 2 medics is pretty much the whole encompassing on getting the points earlier on because of people getting hurt way too much during that time. Then Wave 3 and on, it either goes down, or if nobody's healing, then someone has to be the primary healer for everyone, which is a little bit hard at times because if nobody's healing, then everyone just starts slowly dying one by one.
Well, the worst possible thing you could have is, I think, a very slow, boring round where no one's getting hurt and almost no one's getting points.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like Nox, where like you would have rounds where they just get point starved and nothing happens. Everyone just like AFKs in the cave, and it's boring as shit.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen with bots, though.
Yeah.
So that's like one thing, like the medic stuff. People weren't very happy about that, and I still think there's probably more work to be done on that.
As a side note, I think just the whole issue with that isn't necessarily the medics themselves. I think it's just the essence and people using it to basically generate an equivalent of free scrap for a medic weapon that could also be used as a DPS/buffing weapon. But I think that I don't know how you would deal with that because there are most of the medic stuff feels fine with medical essence. And
I think internally, if you're gonna like go into healing, you should honestly sacrifice your ability to deal damage. That might be like a better alternative to just destroying medical essence.
So basically, Apostle or Medic SMG.
Well, the problem is we mixed medical weapons to deal damage alongside like heal. So
yeah, and I know for me personally, I recently removed the what's the exact name of it? This strength shot dart gun with the tier 1 buff pistols, and I don't know. I know most people said it was fine because it removed one element of pocketing wave 1 and 2, but maybe it's something that could be brought back because I'm just reflecting on like us removing content. Did people?
I don't think you should have removed it.
You don't think I should have removed it? Yeah, because like it does promote pocketing, but it also helps people who are buffing wave 1. But I don't. I mean, maybe it's something I should just ask the community to see if they like the early buff weapons, or if they think it promotes unhealthy playstyles because you have a melee.
Buffing is a playstyle that has a right to be in the game to some degree. To just remove it early, I don't know. I don't think people like that very much.
Well, yeah, I think I should.
Even if you think it's problematic, you could just adjust it or think of a different way or different approach. Because into the variety thing, people do want variety, and if you're just going to take it and say it's too problematic, I'm going to get rid of it. People do not like that.
It's just historically it has led to people strength buffing melee players next to Z-Gas, and I think that might be an issue with the Z-Gas itself, not punishing melee players enough. So it might have been
you're missing the mark on what's actually the problem.
Yeah.
And people are going to take note of that.
Yeah.
They're going to get angry about it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I could probably bring it back.
Poofla, anything to add on that? the medical stuff.
I mean, like I talked with you, we did scale down medical essence, well, all essences in general on wave 1, 2, and a bit on 3, because it is essentially just free upgrade scrap, and you get quite a lot of it early on, and that's when it has the biggest impact. So now that medical essence is a lot less at the start of the game, medics aren't upgrading their tools and perfecting them as quick, which has had a noticeable effect anyways, which is what we wanted. But I don't think the medical tools themselves, they really need nerfs or anything like that. I think they're fine. I think it was just the essence at the start of the game, just pushed a bit.
Yeah, keep in mind, Pooflet, that this update has been like almost like a year, I think? A year? I'm not sure.
What essence?
But, yeah, the essence. But remember that essence was made because people were complaining about medical being incompletely profitable in a way, because people kept losing more and more points the more people they healed. And right now it's stabilized because there's also ammo consumption, and the more later weapons, the more later tools have less ammo consumption in general. So probably because due to that, medical essence just starts ramping up really bad because you start saving even more ammo. But the main purpose of medical essence was just to make healers don't have to care much about upgrading their tools as much with scrap, and just slowly build up until they reach a certain point that they can upgrade for free, and just only care for medical ammo from there on. But I guess people just started using it to also abusive of getting ammo on other.
It was just too good early on. I mean, the essence is still the same, like mid to late game. That hasn't been touched really. It was just early game. It was too good, and it gave healers way too much power.
Yeah,
over, top DPS gun mains, which I don't think should ever happen.
Yeah, which is at fault of people getting hurt a lot, which is expected in a way. It's really expected for players to get hurt, and medics start suddenly top scoring on wave 1, wave 2.
Yeah, it's just cycle
Really
where
bad.
like you're encouraged to get hurt to generate points for medics, which is, kind of a byproduct of making them better, but they need to be good. And then that kind of fuels people standing outside of ZGAS. But they both have to be strong. It's just striking that right balance, right? Where like you want zombies to feel strong, you want medics to feel strong, you want people shooting at the zombies to feel strong, but you have to balance it in a way where everyone's having fun, but they're all still strong, like theoretically. But it's a very hard balancing act in a game that has only so many factors. I do think the dynamic spawn thing will help a lot though with the.
Yeah, it's just really hard because if you notice, most of the games in like really high pop, there's like about 10 to 15 medics playing at the same time. And yeah, it becomes a race to the finish of who gets the most points as a medic, wave 1, wave 2, then it falls up at wave 3 later on.
But the thing is, I've seen people using the rejuvenating stuff to just put rejuvenating stacks on everyone to generate.
Yeah,
those are really strong. I remember I used to use those a lot because you'd be able to just stack all that regen on people, and whenever they get hurt, they just start ticking it down.
Yeah, so you're basically like acquiring points in the future now, which normal medics, instead of burst healing. And I don't know, like I don't know. It's not my place to speak on medical stuff because I'm not that knowledgeable in it. It's just something I've seen where like regen stacks. There's a fuck ton of regen stacks early game.
Well,
I don't know if it's
keep in mind that the regen ticks were actually changed, so it's like 50% faster, I believe, maybe 66% faster now. It regens quite fast now.
Yeah. And I know it generates points when they're actually consumed. I'm just saying, like, it's better to have them in queue for when people get hurt. Typically, when there's a lot of other medics on, because you're securing future points that you're healing. Basically,
Magic, anything to add on the medic stuff?
Well, you want zombies to feel strong, you want medics to feel strong, but I also notice anytime there's less than 5 medics, people say there's no medics.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't want medics to not be a thing, especially when there's that many people.
I mean, the reason why people say that is because wave 3, wave 4, the supposed medics, and I'm actually at fault of that. They just drop their medic weapons to just start going DPS mode from that
I
point
agree.
onward.
Anytime I ever played medic, I stopped using medic when I got a tier 3 or tier 4.
Yeah, you just drop the weapon, you just drop your tools and start going DPS mode because it's actually more profitable, faster that way.
Well, if you think about it, if people are getting hurt more than zombies actually spawning and generating points, then you're always going to generate more points just by existing as a medic, especially if there's not that many on. So it's kind of just like opportunity. I don't think it's necessarily like one is definitely better than the other at higher pops. I don't necessarily think it's like the worst thing ever. It's just an observation about how game, feels at higher pop. So, it's
Someone said that medics should be focused. I forgot who said it. I don't think it matters. That medics should be focused on just healing instead of trying to hybridize. And I thought that was pretty interesting because the most recent medical weapon, the Medica OMG, was designed to both provide DPS and heal someone. And I know someone is going to say in chat that it doesn't do either, but that's what it's designed to do.
I mean, I really do think medic weapons at their best are like the Harvester. I mean, I haven't used the medical SMG much, but I like how you're dealing damage with the Harvester with the goal of eventually healing somebody with it. Like, they both feed into each other, and when everybody's fully healed, you could run in with the Harvester, and you could, get those hits in and buff somebody. Or you can hold on to the heal for later when somebody really needs it. I just think that creates an interesting dynamic, and certain medical weapons, they feel like they are a gun, and then they can also heal on the side,
Yeah, it's like healing tacked onto a gun.
Exactly.
The Temperance was one of the first medic weapons that were added to the later tiers, and it was basically a dart rifle that used med power, and it almost seemed like a nail gun, kinda, because it used med power for primarily offensive ability, and it could even hit humans, but it provided buffs to the humans that killed the zombies they hit. And it was fine, honestly, and it's still fine. Nobody's complaining about the Temperance being overpowered, underpowered, or useless, or overpowered.
I think it might just be an issue that the cleric might be the thing that benefits the most from having DPS versus like medical essence being able to upgrade it. I think because medical essence was tackled early, it might just be that the cleric might either heal slightly too fast or it might just do slightly too much DPS. It had to be something to be like looked at.
Well, I think it's partially my fault because I'm the one that buff cleric in a way because the upgrades do give extra region attacks, but it's like a flat increase. So there's something wrong with that region calculation right there because it initially gives 3, but then it gives more than 3 at times even without the upgrade. So I have to look into that.
Oh, that reminds me of when the everyone was using the Alchemist recently, and it was found out that the Alchemist pen, like if you had pen on it, it just gave you full benefits as opposed to actually using the scaling, which was funny.
I think it does give like 5 points on
That
the
got fixed.
weapon build up. Oh, that got fixed now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just
Yeah.
funny because it basically meant it had no downsides with pen for generating.
Oh, because of the bullet callback, which for some reason just alters the entire game mode.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
All right, I wanna move on. Switch the subject to well, I'm gonna skip over the bounty system for now on the poll in order. I want to talk about the build-up bar cooldown because that's kind of like a controversial thing, and it seems like people are really unanimous that they don't like the cooldown. But that like constitutes as like a performance thing / bug fix.
Well,
So I'm not too familiar with that in terms of like build-up bars.
Well, it's also a balancing reason as well because
Right.
Yeah, because
It's
you
a
could actually
balance
change.
bug fix thing.
Yeah, it's basically everything encompassed in one single thing. and it has actually worked because HSC actually told me that my progress bar update that actually made the servers more stable than it was usually being lately, which is good because that's what I wanted to hear. But what I
I
didn't
don't
want
think
it.
people are happy about it. Is what
It's just
I'm
that
getting from the
people
consensus.
aren't happy. People aren't happy because they cannot chain most of the stuff anymore. They can still chain it on perfect conditions, but they cannot chain it in like typical conditions in the game
Well,
mode.
if it procs, right, and it has the ability to chain, will it chain on that proc, or does it have to have another proc active to chain that proc? Because I don't actually understand fully how cooldown
For
works.
Ashen Tard, for basically Ashen Tard and
I'm talking about like explosion chaining. Like,
Burning Ruby. It's basically both Ashen Tard and Burning Ruby doing the work together and constantly triggering each other.
because I do know with the bar stuff,
It got like slowed down extensively. Like you cannot.
well, no, I
chain
understand that. It was
part.
more like some of the things like pulse. I know people were complaining about like pulse being kind of
Pulse?
shit.
Well, I didn't want to give it that much of a high timer, but at the same time, I did want to deal about chaining stuff. So I guess pulse is not really needed in a way because pulse does fall off kind of immediately once it starts, but you can still chain it in a way. But I guess it can be adjusted to just getting it removed in that case.
Or have a very low cooldown, like for casting.
I mean, how much did I set it to 1 second? Or is it 0.5? Pretty sure it's supposed to be 0.5.
Oh,
It's 1.5.
people probably
1.5?
people probably think it's a little too long.
Then yeah, it can be 0.5.
Yeah, I think cooldown bars exist for a good reason, even if people don't like it. It can be toned down, and I know people like chaining stuff and having like elemental effects and bounty trinkets proccing over and over. I think most of the cooldowns, like, you can adjust cooldowns in such a way where you can proc them consistently and still have performance saves. I just don't know where that sweet spot is.
I think people are generally saying with this question is that it doesn't feel good how it is right now, and
Yeah.
it would be nice to look at it, not essentially like revert it, but maybe some people want it reverted. I'm sure they do because it was probably very broken.
I want to proc things 5 times on a single frame. I don't know about you, but
yeah, people want that. Yeah, I mean, it probably looks really funny to them. So.
I mean, have you ever seen those videos of someone playing like an RPG and they just like walk into something and they explode into 800 billion?
Yeah, have you ever seen those
sounds
weapons
like Path of
CS
Exile, bro.
from people
Yeah.
sitting around nowhere?
Ladle? Gorma, Ladle, hello.
It's true.
So the consensus for that is like look into it.
Yeah, lower the.
I mean, I'm sure that's a lot of. I'm sure it's a lot of hive mind voting on that one, but
It can be toned down, that's for sure. It can definitely be toned down. It's just that it's both a balancing act and also a performance act at the same time, and I basically tackled it perfectly.
It's a good thing you're a clown, P-Town. You can do both.
Oh, fuck off.
Okay, well, that question out of the way. Onto another one that seems to be a little bit more split is the bounty system, and I had some stuff to say on that, but the person who reworked it, Pooflit, on that, because it seems like seems very split right now.
Yeah, well, there's about 2/3 of people that preferred the previous system, and when I looked into it, I think what they preferred the most about it was the RNG aspect, as well as getting a chance at some really good and powerful bounties. And I think a lot of people missed that because the purpose of the bounty shop was to try and streamline things, nerf a bunch of bounties, and just try to make everything equal. And then you could just pick what you want, because at the time, a lot of people didn't like the RNG aspect of it. And we wanted to sort of have a bounty shop for some time anyways. And I think going forward, one of the solutions will be to have some sort of RNG container or something in the bounty shop. Move some of the trinkets in there. I think some of the elemental ones can go in there. They can get buffed as well, potentially, create a few more bounties, and just have something RNG related. So you'll still have a few crucial bounties that you can just pick up with the token, no problem. You can do that every game if you want. But I think if we have an item that you can just buy the old bounties, essentially, and you could just have a choice at picking 1 out of 3, or maybe as soon as you open it, you just get something completely random. So I think that's something that I might consider, but I'll just have to see what other people think. But I think that would be the best solution for both sides.
I know.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, when I know some people hate RNG, but like when people were bounty farming, I know I got this from old bounty farming, where like you would bring up the menu, right? You're like, oh shit, what am I gonna get? You either get 3 things of trash, and like, fuck, I guess I'll go to the next one, or you get like the one really strong trinket, and you get like a dopamine hit, right? I think that does deserve to be in the game somewhere, because it does make it so you're allowed to design and make things that feel strong, as opposed to just getting bounty tokens and just being like, okay, I'm going a fire weapon. Okay, I'm getting the burning ruby. Okay, I'm getting all this fire shit. Okay, I'm an NPC and I shoot at the zombies, as opposed to being like, oh, I got this really strong trinket for this one build from the bounty pool. Let me adapt my build to it so I can, chain effects. So I think some choice is good, but I think some of the more exotic, stronger feeling trinkets being buffed and then moved into an RNG section does feel good, even if it doesn't sometimes feel good. I think it also helps the issue where some bounties are just so strong that like people stack them and then try to make them trigger like 800 billion times by just stacking 5 billion bounty trinkets.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Gorm, and I think that's like the ideal sort of implementation of the bounty system, where like, oh, you get something powerful, and then it kind of informs the rest of your build. But I don't know. Again, personally, in my experience, I feel like every time I get on ZS, I look at the top scorer and I look at their inventory, and they have like every bounty trinket. And it's just that kind of
That
stuff.
was the problem, yeah.
That was the problem with the old system, yeah. Like
that was what we tried to solve. The old
Yeah.
system is that a lot of the times people would snowball their bounties, and then those bounties were really hard to balance. So I think the discussion went somewhere like, okay, let's just make them, let's take the RNG aspect out of it, and then balance them out, and put them in a shop that you can easily get. But again, I don't think people were too happy about that initially.
Yeah, because it really does change the system, but like it is a question, how much your game, because like those trinkets were like game changing. They were a big deal. They would, if you got the right ones, you wouldn't just top score, you'd be leagues ahead of everybody else, because they'd allow you to get more bounty trinkets, and then you would just stack and snowball, and having that be determined by a random number, it gives you a dopamine hit, but that's not fun for everybody else, for sure. Like it just kind of made me feel defeated as a player if I wasn't farming.
Drew, you say that, but my first bounty, I get a fucking membership card. Hell yeah, dude! I get 1% off of everything. That's what you want, and your bounty selection is these. Like, I'm kind of joking. I'm being a little bit facetious. Like, there has to be shit drops in like a strong pool of bounties, but I do think having both systems in some limited capacity would probably solve more of the issue, as opposed to just having one or the other.
Like a lot of people are happy if there's just an RNG thing that you can buy and you just get something random that could be really good or bad. I think that would please a lot of people.
I think this plays into that question of balance versus variety, and people do prefer the variety. Like even if it somewhat breaks the game a little bit. I think a healthy amount of game breaking stuff, like a condition, people don't really mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be like the optimal thing to do every time. It's just, get the strong bounties, snowball beyond everybody else, and validate everybody else. Like
I think it just has to be looked into more. Like,
yeah.
It just needs more work on the system, and it shouldn't just end here with how it is, and it's definitely going to be changed.
Bounties had a long history, like a long time ago.
They really have.
Rayox first introduced bounties, and they were like the RNG system we all know and love, and it was like straight up RNG. Then a little while later, the skills were added that allows you to build up bounties with any weapon ever. And it's honestly unbelievable that that skill used to exist. You know?
Oh
That was the
yeah, these
funniest
days,
skill ever.
yeah. But
Oh
also
my
bounties
God.
were a funny side mechanic back then. They were like, they were around. You could do funny things with them, but I feel like they've definitely grown in prominence over time. To become
Everyone going bounty hunter.
Fast forward,
game things, yeah.
Fast forward, React got rid of that skill and added the concept of bounty weapons, where you'd build up bounties, and then I think it's been like 6 months to a year where it was kind of just steady state at that point. They added bounties, and then it reached like some critical point where it's like, if you wanted to do good in ZS above everyone else, you needed bounties.
And it really is like it's like a balancing act of not artificially like limiting how many bounties you can have if you self farm them, because that'd be kind of lame. It's just
I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, potentially, if we do make them powerful enough, because people are going to be able to get them all. If,
yeah, but
you
people
just
like
keep
chaining
snowballing.
them. So like I
Not
don't.
anymore.
But if you do chain them and you become way more powerful than everybody else, it's like, people who don't want to
Well, is
engage
this
in
like
the
a?
RNG, it's like,
You have to think about
I
it.
don't
Is this like a function issue? Is this a DPS issue because you can abuse them too much on higher end weapons? Is it something that needs to be looked at overall? Because I think people like stacking like trinkets to a certain extent. I'm not all of them. I'm just saying like certain combos, and limiting people to like 3 or 4 like total. If you can get more than 4, seems a little bit artificial, and I don't know if people would actually like that, because people do like making these chains. Like if you remember recently with the volatile conversion stacking, where you get
yes, I remember that.
incense and the combat trinket, and then one other thing, the perk, the fucking whatever perk it was called that Tori made, the thing that was made into a trinket. You would just shift the Reaper stacks of volatile, and then you just blow up bosses. Like people like that stuff. People like paradigm shift, like Reaper incense, even if you're not like facing it. People like these interactions. It's just balancing them can be very hard. That's all.
Yeah, so going forward, I think we'll be looking at just implementing some sort of RNG or something that we used to have into the bounty shop. I think that'll be the best solution, and should make most people happy.
Well, I guess that's for the bounties. So the last question on the poll that wasn't talked about yet was developers and how receptive they are to feedback. I know that's a
Here we
very
go.
controversial thing. So I'll start with that. I know that
Okay.
that's a very hot, opinion, hot topic.
So when someone suggests something, the first thing I look at is their profile picture.
Yeah,
Like, if they're
I don't know
anime,
if
they're getting
anyone
thrown in
else
the
does the
trash.
same
All right,
thing.
first of
Absolutely,
all,
man.
no, I do that. No, I'm kidding.
If I see Abe's avatar, I instantly downvote it and throw it in
Yeah,
the trash.
basically, if we see their name is dude, we instantly listen to them.
That's true. I
Instantly.
actually do that.
I mean, he's the
Instantly
best
listen
player,
to them as
dude.
gospel.
He
Yeah, that's
worked
why I
so hard to
reverted
get
to
where he is.
Deagle, because I wanted to make him happy, and then it didn't work.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, anyway, I think there are a lot of instances where it appears devs are very hard-headed. They're very talking to a brick wall. However, no single developer wants to create a mob against them. But I think there could be work to be done, or there is work to be done, on like being more receptive to people and building better relations, and that's why this is happening.
Yeah.
And there aren't. I go in ZS discussions, and I don't really see too many healthy discussions. And I've made my opinion very clear. I don't really like people saying content bloat. And again, this
You
is
bloat,
bias.
you
This could be
creep.
bias. This is my personal opinion. I don't like when people say content bloat and then post a picture of 20 different statuses, because they're completely missing the point of what they're posting. It's more like a UI thing versus just like actual content bloat. So like a lot of the times it's really hard to like decipher good feedback from bad feedback. So, sometimes devs will probably just like brush off stuff because they'll just like think it's just attacking them or being really aggressive or just a joke or a shit post.
Yeah.
So like I think there is work to be done on like healthier discussions on both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
Personally,
I know-
this is. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
no,
ahead,
it's
go on.
Drew. You can go first. It's fine.
Personally, this is one of the reasons why I feel like I'd step away from ZS for a bit. I've been going through some times in my life, and it's just like it's like a constant battle. I feel sometimes to even like get an idea through in ZS, and I understand that's like part of this kind of unstructured thing, but I don't know if you feel like you do something as a developer, and it's very easy to just have people dogpile on you. And I get it; it's part of the game, it's part of the title, but there's a lot of times where people have listened to the community. They've also caused major problems. I mean, I remember when we used to have polls for like features to get added in the game, and they would all vote on something. Then it gets added in the game, and it's like you can't play the server for a day because it just ruins everything. So it's difficult to find a balance between that, and it's also difficult to like not spend all day fighting in the Discord. So it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough either way.
It's people's creative vision where a lot like every ZS developer thinks the game should be played in a certain way or has their own end goal, and it's about trying to find that happy medium of what everyone's willing to settle on. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think it makes a very dynamic, evolving game where you try to account for everyone's play style. But I do agree with Drew. Sometimes it is very annoying, and sometimes your change you think might be good, and then someone points out it's completely garbage. So
Yeah, and that's one thing. I think not only like it needs to be on other people's part, it also has to be on our part. Like if we do something, if regardless of who it is, like a developer does something and people aren't receptive to it, I think it's okay to double back on it and say like, okay, you know what, maybe it's not worth the uprising against me and making everyone upset. Like within
Absolutely.
reason, obviously. Like I think nobody should just be updating the game with the sole purpose of this is how it should be, and I don't care if you're happy or not.
I mean,
Like,
that's how Knox fell. Remember?
yeah, like we've learned from the past that that's just not how you should do things, and we see countless examples of video games doing that.
I
don't feel like we
just
should do
read a
that.
comment in the chat from Father Pucci today at 3:54 p.m. We should allow other developers to have more free room to make changes on other things that other developers work on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where that mentality comes from, but that has never been the case ever.
Well, okay, so that's one thing. I'm going to let people into a little bit of an insight of how we do things. First of all, we do discuss things beforehand a lot of the times. Like most of the time we discuss things beforehand. I think that's healthy. Like a good portion of the time. There's been times where something hasn't been discussed and then, we even fight amongst ourselves about it. So
yeah, you don't want to
like
look
we
like
get
Dev.
we get into arguments between ourselves, but I think most of the time it's like very healthy discussions because it's like a more concentrated mix of people.
I want you
But
to
again,
imagine.
we all have different. A lot of the times we have different visions of the game, and it's kind of like ZS is kind of like a mesh between a lot of people's visions.
Yeah, there has to be
Not
like an
one clear.
arbiter.
There's not one clear, concise vision for ZS, and I don't personally have a vision for ZS. Like it's kind of more like if it fits into the game, then it fits into the game. If people don't like it, then it should be changed.
Yeah, Scott's
If
kind
it's
of
cool,
like
it's cool.
Scott's kind of like a mediator where you go into dev collab or you go into dev after making a change. It's like Pickett's Last Stand where one of the devs is like holding off changes and you have to be the mediator. And this doesn't always happen. It's happened a few zias but like it's ZS is a very a very dynamic game worked on many people. Everyone has their own vision for it, and I think finding a happy medium makes the game better because it gives you more exposure to different ideas. I do think having Scott have a final say on something is a very good thing for game direction because you want to have
I think somebody should have the
vision.
final say, and I mean
Yeah.
I do, but like again, people probably think I don't play ZS. I sit there AFK, which is true, but I do play from time to time. I just shoot. I don't really play like the very complex stuff, so I don't really like to make changes I don't change things I don't understand, and I think that's like a good. I think most people should do that. Like, if they don't understand something, they shouldn't change it.
And I think that's why you have that perception of people feeling like developers don't change other developers' code. Like,
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing. You don't really want to mess with something if you don't get it. You usually want to talk to somebody. And also, like, if I just wake up in the morning and I say that change is dumb, you shouldn't have buffed that gun, and I just slam nerf it the next day, it's like
now there's infighting.
Yeah, and there's
Everybody's going to be upset at each other, and
Exactly.
then either people will leave or people are just going to get upset and not
you have a
make
mental
changes.
breakdown and you start shit.
Alright. Yeah, stuff
I broke
like
your
that.
boy the occult. Dude, I haven't changed the occult in like a year, man. What
Yeah,
are you doing?
we don't like. I think another important thing is like peace between all of us. We don't want to change each other's stuff without. It's like a respect thing. It's not like you have to not do that. It's like it's more like a respect thing, and it keeps the peace and it helps development.
You know, unlike other game devs, I know this isn't exactly a game; it's a game mode. But you know, people try to make something fun. It's not like where we wake up, we go into the code, and we're like, okay, how can I piss off the server now? All right, I'll make blood armor only.
You do that.
Oh, I do that. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. I woke up. I was like, what is blood armor? I just fucking ripped it out of the game and without any compensation. Don't look at any of the other audits or, you know, me reverting because I realized something's bad.
Me, when I see my Discord notification, it's actually fucking Orm asking you how to do this.
It's like you have a fucking like death message.
And I'm like, fucking Christ, can't you just fucking leave me alone for once?
Well, no, Gorma wakes up and he's like, Tassa does 14.6 damage.
Time to make
what
it...
if I did 14.7?
I mean, you laugh about that. Your microphone's so loud. It's like you're fucking earthy. What is it?
Oh my god.
Okay,
it's actually
listen.
true.
Early game weapons, and I'll stand by this. Early game weapons with number adjustments is sort of the way it has to be done because everything is so finely tuned into like tier 1 and 2 where you have to balance these values intrinsically. And listen, I know buffing a weapon by 0.1 damage or buffing a reload speed by 0.1 or whatever the fuck seems like, wow, why would you even fucking bother? But like, did you see what I did to the blue orc? I reduced its damage like 3, which is like 6 damage total because it fires 2 shots. Then that weapon just ate shit and died. So like, I don't know.
But why'd you do that?
Because
what I mean, it was just overshadowing everything. Like,
it was overshadowing everything.
Was it made clear? Was it what people want?
It was overshadowing everything, and I do consult specifically with one other dev when it comes to balance changes regarding guns. The one time I didn't was the Deagle. That was a big mistake.
I think, well, this is like a perception thing. It's like we balance stuff like guns or something. You have to kind of accept that there will always be a meta. There will always be something that is stronger than the others. So it's more like a question of like, do you want to like rotate them out or like have like, you know, like just balance things to balance them to change up the meta? It's more like a perception thing, or, you know, just like randomly changing stuff for the sake of changing stuff. Some people might not like it. Some people do.
Yeah, I think
sorry.
I was just gonna say real quickly that I think that shifting tier 1 and tier 2 specifically in terms of balance, which hasn't happened that much recently, I don't think. I think shaking them up and making value changes to them, it promotes a healthier. It just changes things around. Basically, people like variety, unless you know they're like, I don't know, like Bob, and they go to their work every day. They get the hamburger special every single day of their fucking life, and they die.
So
yes, people made it clear they want variety.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to say is, Gorm, is that it changes the wave 1, wave 2, no, not wave 1. Yeah, wave 1 meta from people just constantly selecting the same weapon over and over again.
Yeah, and I think that's
10
a little
times
bit
better.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit interesting because your starting weapon actually can influence your later like ammo pool, your economy, depending on what the meta is. Like, I'm not saying all of them are great. Like, I remember when hit registry was really, really bad and everyone went projectile weapons, and it went from people trying to like DPS zombies coming out of Z spawn to people just hopping around with slingers.
Just like my beloved.
Oh yeah. and the fucking dowser, which by the way has been fully reverted and is still bad, which is hilarious. But
It got a reload buff in the
It's
reload
because
buff update.
there was a lot of projectile hit code, hit detection stuff that was going on that made it really, really good. But yeah, that's beside the point. I think this all ties back into the whole, like, you know, as a developer, you got a vision, we have a vision as a team, and it's like, no matter what you do, there's going to be people who are just like, oh, my gun got nerfed, dude. These fucking developers, they don't know. They're out of their minds. They're stupid. They're dumb. They're just going to, like, they're going to shit on you regardless. And that's the thing where it's like, you got to engage with people. You got to talk about it. And you got to see what the best decision is for the game. And that's tough. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. I got people are sending me death threats for killing the occult. I thought what I did for the occult was pretty good last time because it was dominating the game. You know, like what?
You know, you sometimes ban someone and then you get sent a video of a guy standing in a highway, and you know.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah, let's not bring that.
No, I'm just saying it's something you have to deal with as a dev with really shitty people in the Gmod ingredients.
I mean, yeah, it's expected.
I mean, it's a lot of different games that have this problem. Like, a lot of people are unhappy,
does.
but I mean, this is more of a small, tight-knit community. It's not as big as, like, a big game. So, I mean, it is kind of easier, and people do have access to talking to us through Discord, but I think, again, there's not a lot of, like, order in how Discord is. You know, a lot of people just shitpost in Discord, and a lot of, like, recently when I go in there, I get a little mad because it's just people saying random shit that is really irrelevant.
Well, Scott, we have to be like, we have to be like receptive at the same time, but but then the people who are, you know, giving us that suggestion, that topic or whatever, they also have to be more considerate on how they're actually, you know, giving that information away, because sometimes people just tend to say stuff just to say it for shits and giggles, but then other times other people do have a legitimate concern. We just ignore it because we think that they're just doing the exact same shit.
It's not.
They're trying to gaslight you, man.
Yeah, sometimes
I've had it happen.
Listen, you go into the ZS.
I've had it happen. I'll admit, when I over nerfed the occult, because I nerfed it back in the day, and then I nerfed it again because I was like, oh shit, that second nerf, man. I believe, dude. I know you're in here, dude. I believed you. I'm like, shit, pulse ammo. You're right. I thought that was fucking OP. I really did. And you can laugh, but look, like, this is the thing. You make a decision. You think about it a lot, and it turns out to be the wrong one, and somebody tells you, or you think it's the correct one, and then somebody tells you, no, it was the wrong one. No, it was the wrong one. And you go, shit, I just broke the game. Like, it's unplayable now. I need to fix it. Like, these are things that you go through as a developer, and
that's the part where you go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you break the server and you go to bed.
Exactly. See, these are the things that are tough, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, I'm doing more damage at this point. I really gotta step back.
Listen, I'll give you all some insight on the ZS Dev Collab if you're not in there. It's not actually a Dev Collab. It's where you go in to get gaslighted.
It's where you go to vent about your frustrations.
Yeah, without any actual feedback. And yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, so I can wrap this up. People are getting very antsy for questions. I keep getting pinged, so
yes.
So I'm gonna wrap up this segment of us just talking, and I think if there's any final words on developer reception, I think it's I think we can do better. It's not woe is me. We're developers. We're people. I mean, we are doing this for fun. You know, we don't want to have everyone mad. We don't want to see everybody get upset, all up in arms.
Yeah.
And again, it's not woe is me. I'm a developer. Poor me. You need to be nice to me. It's like, I'm understanding. People are going to be mad. I don't take it too personal.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, there might be times where some of us take it personal, and we might get angry or be not as receptive day to day.
Yeah.
So
and also keep in mind that everyone in here is a volunteer. Everyone's doing it for fun and, you know, for the community itself, not for.
And that's why sometimes people.
And I think every dev does love the community to some degree. Like, they do like the community or some aspect of the community. I mean, not everybody is a fan of everybody, but I mean, I mean, I can't really list a single developer who's done something just because they're angry. They all have a love for ZS. They love a passion. So
Hey,
like,
you don't just play ZS to get angry.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do. All right, well, I think it's question time.
We have 101 people listening. Who are we gonna say?
We'll have to decide on who answers the first question. So
Well,
Maybe they roll for it.
again,
Okay,
let's-
wait, I have
want to
have
just say
one.
this right now. Please don't like waste our time with like a dumb question, like a
Well,
joke. Please don't do
Okay,
that.
let's first. Sorry.
I won't be happy. I'll just leave it at that.
Roll
Well-
20 to get your question answered.
Well, hold on.
may
I
begin.
do want to let the Sunrise mods first because they can't really request. They can just simply walk into the stage for whatever reason.
Well, they didn't. No, they can't. I don't think admins can.
No, they
We
can't.
can.
So
We can just
okay,
hop in.
okay.
yeah, everyone can
Yeah.
just.
All right.
Oh my god.
Okay, chill. Get out.
Yeah, everyone just. Yeah, no.
All right, okay. Thank you. Point proven.
Did we
But,
get invaded?
yeah, we
Okay.
did. Okay,
So-
so
demons came in.
well, we could just name the person and then drag them in. I don't know how do you see the request?
You get the raise the hand feature in the corner.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
don't see it.
No, you gotta
No,
like
it's,
scroll
it's
down
on the
and look at the
avatar.
audience.
It's got it. You have to look
It's
at
on
the
the
audience.
avatar. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's
this is a really
stupid.
bad system.
It's really bad.
You
Oh
also,
my god, so many avatars.
the top right, it's in the corner. If you click on the
Alright,
channel,
okay, then I guess I'll be the one deciding who
Yeah, you can
answers the
curate
request.
the talk.
Alright, I'm gonna do my favorite right now. Monkey, he's my favorite. Let's
Oh,
get Monkey in
God.
here. Have him ask his question.
Off to a great start.
Off
It
to a
better
great
not be
start.
related to Dev
Monkey,
Collab.
don't be annoying, Monkey. How do I get him in?
You just right click him and it's like
just,
a
yeah, just
walk on up.
let me just ring him. Hold on.
Come up to the gala.
Just bring him.
Invite to speak.
Yeah,
There we go.
invite to speak. Yeah.
Hello, gentlemen. I have a very quick question.
Here we go.
Are there any more plans to make baseline elements better, like what you guys did with like fire and acid?
Are there?
Are there?
Be pretty cool.
Are baseline elements not great? I thought they only really got buffed over time.
If I remember correctly, I do think Tori is correct that Rayox was looking at that last time, and I do trust Rayox more than anyone, even me, especially
Well,
me. Oh.
it's not so much about so there are two things that are on everyone's mind. Soften and basically everything that Nectar Weakener affects and
I want
fire.
innate spread.
And fire. Necro Weakener was going to get some changes because, honestly, Soften seems like a pretty safe bet, while fire is like, if you're not the only one doing fire damage, you're going to get your fire stolen, literally.
Actually, no, that's no longer the case, Magic Swamp. It only increases on initial fire damage, not lingering.
Well, the point is, fire is going to get a rework eventually, but it might be soon considering how many people want it, where everyone who stacked fire contributes at the same time, instead of you have to wait in the queue.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, because that zombie, that you stacked fire on, they're not long for this world, especially with this player count. So,
What
yeah.
about what's the thing the Mars shoots up? The status effect is it sap at this point? Oh, has anyone ever actually like looked at sap as the status? Because it seems that's besides the point. Never mind.
It's a funny status.
Yeah.
You just add it on weapons and see if it's OP or not.
Well,
Like
so
Siphon.
if there's any plans, then I guess somebody will do it. I don't think there's any concise plans to make elements better though. So yeah, that's your question answered.
All right.
Get out of here.
Thank you, Monkey.
All
Bye,
right.
Monkey. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next.
I want to bring Abe, so I'm just gonna let Abe
All
speak.
right, Abe, Abe, you can just come on in.
This is
Yeah,
long
come on
neck
in.
in this
You
channel.
may only
Cool.
pitch one
Hi, guys.
suggestion.
Yeah, one
only
question
one.
per person.
All right, so just pretty quick a preface. We've been trying to encourage pushing out with first the implementation of the sigil pulse, and then with the sigil rifts and other things that you can push out for, like the objectives and the currencies. I was wondering if there was any like underlying desire by the devs to want pushing out midwave to be encouraged? Like, is that something on your guys' radar? And would there be feasible steps to take for gameplay to be happening regularly outside the cave, not just during intermission, but throughout the whole game?
I think that really comes down to like, that's why I run phaser too, is so I can push out midwave to grab loot. That's basically what I do.
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one because if we enable pushing out during the wave and that becomes like the meta thing to do, that could heavily disrupt gameplay. Like the game flow could be heavily disrupted.
Basically, roamers.
Or you have a
Yeah,
Well, it'd be
you're
a group
talking about
mode.
roamers.
Well,
It's not roaming, it's pushing out as a team.
Yeah, pushing
I
out
think-
for an objective. I mean, I did have an idea that I did pitch a little bit, like kind of like, you know how like some maps will have like a, you know, like a car that you assemble, like Plaza did, or you know, something like that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could have like something you assemble with a control point, and you have to do it like for a wave, something like that maybe.
The darker one, jalopy repair.
That's
I
interesting.
also think it's reasonable to leave certain loot drops or whatever. It would be possible to leave them there after the intermission ends, so you have like a longer window to get them. Like you can get them mid-wave, but you don't have any of the benefits that you have of intermission. You got to push out. You got to really risk it then. That might be interesting. But
You walk up to a drop and then 5 AI shades attack you all at once and you die instantly.
I mean, that's what's going to happen. But you know,
Okay.
I just thought it was interesting because we've definitely taken some good steps for getting humans outside of the cave with the pulse and the rifts and stuff. But I was just curious to hear what you guys would think of pushing it even farther by getting humans outside more.
I think
But
just leaving
anyway.
stuff around would be reasonable.
I always think that
Yeah.
intermission pushing out would be like the baseline stuff, like the sigil rift and like the, you know, the sigil blessing status, while pushing out mid wave would be the options are there for you, like the concussion grenades, sea foam, and like phaser 2, but it's up to you to make that decision.
It should be very dangerous.
Now that I
Like,
think
it
about
should
it,
be very dangerous to do that.
don't a lot of the events that like drop stars and stuff and candies basically encourage you to push out midwave
They
from before?
They did
no,
a really good job of it.
they
in my opinion.
they do encourage you to push out more towards the end because they're still there, but
They don't have a lifetime.
yeah, that's the thing. There isn't a lot of things that happen mid-wave that we want to do right now, but I think it needs to be more carefully considered. We don't want to like encourage a roaming play style for a lot of people to do, and I don't think a lot of people want that either. Maybe the roamers do. Sure, and I know a lot of the roamers have quit the game or got mad over changes to their play styles, but
Well, they just want back blood and knock 500 movement speed.
yeah,
Quit the game, quote unquote.
yeah, quit the game, quote unquote.
That's
So
it for
yeah,
me. Thank you.
all right.
Car
Thank you, Abe.
repair objective would actually be
Okay.
a pretty good idea because I would encourage people to walk around the map instead of beelining for the objective.
You gotta repair Big Ghoul's car or he's gonna run it into the cave.
We got Apple
Yeah.
in the top left.
All
Wanna get
right,
him in here?
Apple. Yeah, we'll get him in here, Apple.
Come on in. I
Uh,
invited you to speak. Yep, here we go.
Also, if you don't have a mic, I guess just talk and stream voice channel. Try to
yeah,
keep
if you don't have a
going.
mic, yeah, preferably mic though.
We'll bring you up here symbolically.
Okay. Hey, appreciate it. My sponsor, Drew. I had a couple things to say. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the bounty system was my question. I like the RNG and I also like the store that you came up with. But nerfing them was really terrible. So could we like just make them more rewarding in RNG and like returns just be better? And I thought about maybe we could offer more slots and maybe give the one like the primary slot kind of like a loot box where it's like +2, maybe +1, and then the others are just, you know, baseline, whatever it is, rolls, you know. And I don't know. The other stuff I had was kind of like out there stuff about like the spawn. You guys are talking about like mid-wave stuff. I think the prefab, Scott, you talked about prefab AI builds. I think that would be cool as like something you could do mid-wave. Maybe like have a prop spawn. It could be important to an objective and bring it somewhere, but you said you wanted to carefully consider that, so just something.
What was the question?
Could we consider like RNG, more RNG? I know that we were kind of leaning more towards the shop in bounties, but could we just reel it back and just make RNG more rewarding? Like, given it second thought, like
Something I
I
wanted
think
to
we
do.
addressed that in the we discussed bounty. Sorry.
maybe like to 2 trees of elements, possibly like a plasma and what ruby, something like that.
What do you want to do, Magic?
I was just talking about there's like everyone remembers the RNG bounty trinkets. Not many people like those because they were kind of memes. Like, oh, you get like plus 0.14% faster regen or something. But
We don't like
I think
membership
it would
cards?
be a nice touch of RNG that could be added to the shop. I don't know what Pooflet did
It's
with
like
those.
it's like the Pooflet RNG container that we talked about earlier. Like
What
you'd
would
have
you-
the option to get the random thing. In
Would
the
you
shop.
want something like you have the basic version of a bounty, and then you have like the empowered version that you get through RNG that like overrides the base version? I don't.
Are these the ancient
That could be
artifacts?
cool. I actually think that that's a really neat idea.
Because
But
I think
So you
RNG,
want more
just have,
RNG?
yeah, just power back to them, because the
Okay,
RNG,
you
the
want more
RNG is
Yeah, I get it. This is what we discussed. Like,
Yep.
we did tone down bounties for. We toned down the bounties
that
in exchange for making them more streamlined. So yeah, that'll be done for sure.
And I personally voted for the shop in the poll. I thought it was a good idea when I played with it, just because it was rewarding to be able to choose your path. But kind of as Gorm was saying, where it was just like kind of boring NPC gameplay, where you just know what you're going to pick each time, getting lockpick because you know you're going to hunt for megas on point save or whatever. It's too direct. And the RNG was fun to farm for, but it just got too tedious after all the nerfs to it. And I think limiting it, like Drew is kind of hinting towards, but just not to such a point where it's neutered, where you're only going down like just a fire ruby. You could go ruby like plasma or like spine and something. Like you could do 2 trees of elements and just limit it to like maybe 4 or 5. Nothing like 8 or 6 bounties, something like that.
Right.
Well, I think potentially having a system where you could like empower a bounty maybe to make it have better stats would be interesting, but I'd have to talk to
This is all like down the line stuff.
Yeah.
I think
You should be able to re-roll ancient artifacts.
You want the
Yeah,
ancient
they're
artifacts?
map dependent. They're map dependent, aren't they? Still, or is
They're
that
map
changed?
dependent, but they don't have to be.
Yeah, they could be changed. Well,
All right,
yeah,
we're
they'll
gonna add.
Oh,
time
I
on
think
weapons.
I think we get to more questions. So thank you,
absolutely.
Apple.
Yeah,
Example.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry it took so long for your SDKs.
we add
All right,
time on
next,
weapons.
and I just want to clarify: if you want to, if you don't have a mic and you want to ask a question, you can ask like when you're on the stage. I just want to ask or answer the questions of people who come on the stage.
It makes me wonder how many
If
people.
you don't have a mic, you can still request to speak, and then you just you at me or somebody in the. I mean, I have pings and shit.
I wonder how
People
many
pinging me. Kindly not. I mean, don't ping unless you're asking the question.
I have Discord on another monitor, and I'm looking at in-game chat, but stream and voice chat is where questions are going to be posted.
So yeah, just request to speak, and if you don't have a mic, just you can still request to speak.
It makes
And
me
then you just
wonder how
ask.
many people
in
actually,
stream chat or something wherever.
how many
So
people actually
all right,
like
next.
the
Yeah, who wants to
time.
pick the next one?
Who wants to go next? Let's get all right, let's get Potato since he seems to be very antsy.
Please keep your hands up. because
Hello?
we can at least see that.
So the question I have is, will there ever be, or what I'm saying is, probably shouldn't there be a more formatted way for the punishments? Because it's gotten better over time, but looking at a bunch of the punishments, there's stuff like brain damage or just stuff that doesn't really explain what the punishment is to everyone.
Yes. this is more like a Sunrust issue. I get what you're saying, and
What?
there are a lot of times where like people don't bother to put the reason, and I kindly ask that admins try not to do that if they can help themselves. But
I mean, I'm guilty of that.
No,
where I
that
just
is
put, like a
something
string
that's
of
tough to
text.
do. It's because
yeah, I mean, sometimes people like I know I do this. Like I'll just put a reason to buy,
Yeah.
or just
Well,
like don't come back.
Sometimes
for
I'll
me,
put a
it's like
sentence.
I see something going wrong, and it's like I got to stop that, right? So I'm just punching in the punishment. You know,
Yeah,
like somebody
I
throwing
mean
props into
that.
the zombie spawn. It's like, yeah, you're rubbered, and then I go in afterwards and try to fix it, but
Or like
you don't always
idiot
do
or
that.
soming. They just put like idiot. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
not
try.
a-
We'll
I
try
kind
to
of
steer
agree with
away
you,
from the
but
Devo punishments.
It's not as big of an issue as you might think because when a punishment is done, the story doesn't end. We do have the incidents channel, and
Mhm.
the worst that it really happens is that someone gets punished for like a nondescript reason, and we just have to wait for the person who initially punished to say what was going on, so that we can
yeah,
avoid it anyway.
as much as I would say like I would ask that admins don't do that. I kind of understand that it's kind of like a thing. It's not super official. But I mean, if you were wrongly punished, you can go to incidents and say like, "Why was I punished for this or that?" And then
You'll get an answer for the
you'll get an
principal.
answer for it. And I know that the channel for punishments is kind of hidden from the public unless you're a donator.
Yeah.
So I know that's kind of
Why is that,
complicated.
if you don't mind me asking?
I just didn't want it to be public for like people who snoop around. That's all.
And for those of you who are curious, there are 30 people banned from posting in incidents, so do not post if you don't have anything to add.
Yeah, I take that very seriously. Like, if somebody is gonna shitpost an incidents, they're not allowed to come back. I mean, and again, if you're rejoining the Discord to reset your perms for like any reason, and I catch you doing that, I'm probably just gonna ban you from the Discord. Like, I personally don't like to ban or punish anybody. Like, that's just, I'm gonna throw that out there. I don't like
Like any-
doing that.
Like
Like, I hate doing that. It's annoying. It's really tedious for me, and I'm sure admins can handle that just fine. I trust everybody on the admin team to be able to handle that. So yeah, if there's a problem, I encourage you to either post an incident or go to me or somebody else directly.
Gotcha.
I don't
And-
really mind handling stuff.
All right. And on more of a development issue, since I know that last question was more of a community thing. After playing Fleshfire, it seems like they don't really have an immunity or a reduction to fire damage. Would it be possible to change that, as that's just more of a
I mean,
question?
that
I
would
have.
make sense, but then what do we
Yeah.
do with like Cold Marrow? Do we make him more vulnerable to
it's a
fire?
slippery slope, definitely.
I don't think I don't think we should like consider things like that
Yeah,
personally.
well, it may make realistic sense.
Yeah.
Balanced sense, it doesn't really.
Balance
doesn't
sense,
really
I don't
matter.
know. He's meant to be a glass cannon that
Well-
you can kind of shred through people.
Yeah.
At least that's the idea of Fleshfire.
Can I just say these immunities aren't unfounded, because specifically the really janky freeze mechanic, I think Pooflet made it, the one where like you freeze a zombie, it had immunities for cold classes, but I think that's like the only status that has something like that.
Well,
It's not very consistent.
cold marrows and other cold classes, they don't show up on thermals, and they also have some sort of innate cold resistance. So there's something to it, but
Yeah.
Maybe.
it's not concrete.
Yeah, there's not a consistent immunity thing, and we did do that with like, back in the day with skeletons being more resistant to
Cold marrows are more-
to bullets, and then shadow classes, melee, stuff like that.
I think resistance, okay. Immunity, probably not.
Yeah, immunity no, but resistance maybe. Maybe he could be more resistant to fire, like you said. So maybe I'm kind of open to that a little
Yeah.
bit, but
Yeah,
I guess
'cause,
it's
like-
not really a priority.
Yeah, just something I thought of, because playing as Fleshfire, you just
Uh,
walk out, get obliterated by fire.
Well,
but
hold
that's
on.
all the question I have.
According to the code, he actually does have an immunity flag for flames. So that's kind of.
Who would have
Oh,
known?
I guess I didn't know. So
I didn't know
I
that
didn't
either.
feel
That's why
like
he's
that.
100% fired.
Rayot's moment.
Alright,
we'll look into
I talking
it.
about standing
We'll
in
look into
fire.
it.
Get blame. Get
Alright,
blame that
I'll
shit.
keep note of that. We'll keep
Alright.
note of that. But thank you.
y'all. Yeah,
That's
that's
Thank
all
fine,
I've
you.
got.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Potato.
If you don't see anything in 3 business days, I don't know, complain in Dev Club.
It was discussed here. Yeah. Alright, next.
Let's go from the top of the list. So fish, I guess.
Alright, fish. Yeah.
Please be a question about the fishing rod.
Fuck that thing.
Do you have a mic, fish, or is this mute? I think
You
it
have
might be
mic?
mute.
Okay,
If it's
so
Alright, we'll be
if
waiting
it's
for the
mute,
question.
then add us with the
Yeah, they're
question.
typing. They're typing.
Yeah.
they're typing, yeah. So your channel.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was supposed to be one question.
Oh, is that the question right there?
Oh, okay. That was the
Okay.
question. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with the first one there.
Okay, I'll read it out. What is the plan with how only 2 of around 15 guns are melee? Okay.
No.
I'm gonna
That's
intercept
not
real quick.
fish.
That
No,
is
we're
not
looking.
fish.
No, wait, was
That is
that
a
not
different
fish? Was that
Wait,
it?
where is it?
That's a different player. I'm
Firestorm,
gonna
you
look up real
fuck.
quick.
Fuck you, Firestorm.
I'm sorry.
All right, you're not answering. You're not asking any questions. Okay.
There is no player model QnA anymore.
Yeah, no more of that, bro.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the question was.
Okay, objective in Z. Is there going to be possibility to add more variety to? Okay, I can answer. So objective is really weird because a lot of the objective maps are kind of like zombie escape maps, except glorified in like zombie survival. There's no clear definition of what an objective map is. I'm sure you know that. And also updating them is really, really tedious because the game mode changes a lot. So there's not really plans to add more variety to objective maps unless mappers actually like change them or try different concepts or update old ones. And I'm not updating objective maps because they're really annoying to update, and I don't like them personally. So
Really, I think the biggest issue is that they kind of fell to the wayside. They got point save syndrome, where we have the bounty shop, which is, I think, pretty sure it's inaccessible on objective. Then
bounties?
Yeah,
oh
bounties.
yeah, because of rifts, yeah.
And Banished sigil, it spawns at wave 1, but then you can only get like 2, 3 maybe.
I forget.
It needs a complete rework.
Do we disable speed stuff related on objective maps?
I thought a good idea on objective. Well, not a good idea, but it was an idea. Would be to force vet mode on objective maps.
Because I do remember on some maps
I don't
we'll
know
just like
about
run
that.
straight ahead and get everyone killed.
That's map design problems. That's not.
I know.
That's not the
I'm just
game
saying the
mode.
speed thing.
Yeah, you can add,
That's a map design problem.
You can always add another wooden board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a map design problem. Again, that's kind of missing the point. We wouldn't like want to destroy the game mode for objective. We would just want maps to be properly designed, and nobody really wants to do that because it's super annoying. Ask any of the people who've made objective maps or worked with objective maps, even Pooflet, who's made beautiful objective maps. I don't know if Pooflet's here right now.
Vertigo version 108.
Alright,
Yeah,
Pooflet made objective maps
and
because he's
mapping
the
is-
only other real map, like, objective mapper here.
Mapping is a different skill set than writing code. I got to be real
They
with
just
that.
get
like,
outdated within like a few months.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Like Gauntlet, poor Gauntlet. It just can't keep up with all the melee updates and that.
Yeah.
Still no bow.
Well, it's like the adjacent what's the map called? Checkpoint. It's like Checkpoint where I updated it like I don't know 2 or 3 years ago. And it's not even an objective map. It just had objectives in it, and then
it's gone now.
Yeah, and then it got deleted because it just didn't age well. And I think you could probably just rework that map to not have the objectives. But I know a lot of people liked getting the cores at the beginning.
No, it is reworked. They're gone. It's just a
gone.
normal map now.
Okay, so that's like an example of a blend of something that has objectives where for some reason finally tuning stuff like that in ZS where it has so many balanced iterations where it just like makes the map outdate very fast.
It's completely up to the mappers. They have all the tools they need to make the objective maps and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Unlimited creativity. Just It's up to them.
However, I
don't-
will say, huh?
I won't say
No,
they
you
have
go.
all the tools.
No, they don't. That is true. They do not. And also, I did kind of discuss this. I said objective does need like reworks to kind of like. I feel like objective maps need like designated checkpoints for how some of them work, and we can't. A mapper cannot do that. Like maybe a checkpoint will have like a banished sigil or like
So I think
Well,
something
maybe if
will
they could
or
place
a
the
rift.
banished sigil down, just like as
Well,
an
we
entity.
can, but another thing is it's really hard to designate what zombies are unlocked. So I feel like
Oh,
a
yeah.
tool that we can kind of like have a profile to like make a volume that if once people cross that, it unlocks certain zombie classes.
Yeah.
So that might make like the whole process of making a Z-styled objective map easier and also easier to like keep up to date.
so. Pooflet, when you make your new zombie class selector, make sure it's dynamic.
Yeah.
That would be
That-
ideal.
Like that could probably fix all the objective maps right now and without having to make new versions. Is like kind of like making the game mode support more dynamic changes in maps.
Yeah.
I would say a good first step would just be to bring over the stuff in ZS that doesn't have a equivalent objective. That would be a good first step, and then we could see,
Absolutely, yeah.
what we could do from there.
So like a volume that you cross would also maybe spawn drops around that area within a radius. Like there's no drops on objective maps. So like I'm only talking about Z-styled objective maps where you run, which is not the only type of objective map there is, but it seems to be the most popular that was made. So yeah.
So I'm replying to this because it's got 5 Poggies emotes, but Jihad Miku says, what about Banished Fragments allowing you to buy stuff for a limited time? That's actually one of my plans to bring Banished to objective, because, you could have a sigil spawn anywhere around the objective, but really something that you can carry with you would be ideal.
Well, I guess that about sums up the idea of objective maps. So thank you very much, Fish, for that question. I hope clarified some things or gave you some insight on that.
All right.
I'm kind of surprised that no one's mentioned any questions about like Z Director or Dark Market.
We haven't
Hold
had
on,
a lot
hold
of
on.
questions. We got more. We got
Let
more.
people
Got
ask.
like
Let
100
people ask.
people.
Oh.
Well,
Alright.
I think I kind of want to wrap it up by maybe somewhere around 5.
Well, we have to
EST.
get more questions answered pretty
We
quick,
do.
so
So we'll have to go through more questions
Step
faster.
right up.
Let's go for
And
lightning
next,
round.
let's ask Tom, because Tom already made a question on the chat, and
Tom?
we can just look into that pretty quick.
Hey, Firestorm, where's the post that you?
Okay, so Tom is mute.
Yeah, there's
What was the question I was reading out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read out the question now. Okay. Is there a plan with changing how there are 1 to 2 meta weapons in every tier while the rest are either slept on or never used? Okay, new side ZS server. That's a kind of a question for Tori. And then the plan for event currency, the summer event currency. Okay, so I'll answer that. That's just going to be converted.
No, it's
As
no,
all- no?
Is
It's
it?
gonna say no. It's gonna say yeses. So
What?
don't worry about conversion.
This looks
I
really
thought it was
bad.
always converted.
It's
Yeah, but Pooflet said this time, not for this.
Yeah, I thought it'd be better if we just
Yeah.
keep
Kept
the
it?
currency rolling for
Oh.
next
Yeah,
year.
just leave. Yeah, just leave
Oh.
it as is.
Okay.
I forgot to talk
Alright,
about that.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, so we're keeping that.
Yeah.
Okay, so about the 1 to 2 weapons in every tier being meta, that's really a complex issue that is very difficult to fix without making like, I don't know, some dynamic thing to happen during the round or having like regular balance changes to change them. I think it'd be better to make it more dynamic in the game mode, but that's like a topic for another day, where maybe a weapon will be discounted, or a weapon will have like a special property, or a skill that has like a special property for a specific weapon, or like some sort of contract or something like that. But I'm not sure who would want to do that or when. So there isn't really like a clear answer I can give you on that, or anybody really. So it'll just be more like stuff we discussed before.
Yeah.
And as for what Tori's doing, you'd have to ask him more about what he's doing, but that's like that's supposed to be like more of
His
an
domain.
experimental. Yeah, it's like more of an experimental ZS server that isn't like totally fleshed out yet. So you'll probably have more info on that when he's further along with it.
It's gonna kill main.
I will
Yeah,
say
kill main.
I will say about on the topic of meta. Meta is very specific where the perceived balance of a weapon can sometimes be better or worse depending on like the overall game state. So it's kind of like a mentality thing. So I don't know if you can really ever, fix it.
Yeah, unless we added like promotions, like in the arsenal crate. At the top of the list, there's like promoted weapons. These weapons weren't used in the past
20% off.
4 months.
Well,
I
you
don't
could have
know
like
about
dynamic
that.
round-based stuff to make weapons better for round or whatever. Maybe that might be
I
something.
think that would be
people-
some funny RNG stuff that might not
That
be.
might be something that can be considered. Maybe even just a small discount to the price, or
Is it time for the rotating shop?
or the weapon gets like a random buff attached to it, like a modifier or something. Like
Or
the
you
gun is
get
modded for the
you
round.
get paid a little more in Ember if you use this weapon.
You have a rotating shop and the cleric's gone and you just start screaming.
Yeah, you get the most meta weapon with the rotated. I don't know. There could be like things that could be done, but
Rotating shop is gonna be like end stage ZS.
I'm gonna hate that, honestly. Like I really like being able to go in there and be
we're
like,
not-
I'm
we're
gonna
not
do
Time to
doing-
get my
we're not
deagle.
doing
Oh
that.
wait, it's
We're
not
doing
in
that.
this round. You
No,
just
no,
start
no, I
crying.
will never let that happen. We're not letting
Thank you.
weapons just be
I'm
rotated
good for
in and
piss
out.
for a minute.
All right.
All right, so thank you for that question, Tom.
All right.
I hope that gave you insight.
Okay. Next
All right,
one
next.
is the next one is like again, so we can go
Yeah,
fast.
he's been in there. He's had his
Yeah.
hand up for a while.
All right.
Hi.
Hello.
First off, well, speaking of the devil, I wanted to ask about Dark Market, and like, I'm going to be maybe the like Z main arrow for like people, but is there any change like for either Dark Market or like out or either for Dark Market or out of Dark Market, like the baseline zombies? Because a lot of the zombies are seldom used. Like most of the focus is around Dark Market, gaining Dark Essence, so you can snowball using Lesser Evil. That's why like Cinder Tug was extremely good. That's why like Skeleton Executioner was extremely good. But most of the normal classes are all seldom used. You only use something to gain essence, not to actually play the game. You play a base class to gain essence, to gain more classes from the Dark Market.
Oh, so okay, there are changes coming to the usability of the Dark Market that Pooflet's doing. He's kind of like the go-to zombie guy, and I think he's AFK right now.
What
Yeah,
is
it's a bad
this,
question to get without Pooflet on.
Yeah, unlucky, but he'll probably be back in a bit.
And he'll
So,
probably go over.
I mean, I guess we could
so
discuss the Dark Essence.
yeah, as for Dark Essence and all that, I mean, so I did kind of talk about this before. The whole point of the Dark Market was to open up more zombie variety and options you can play as zombie.
Speak of the devil, there he is.
All right, yeah, Pooflet. I don't think he heard the question,
No.
but talking about the Dark Market and the
What about
challenges
it?
for it.
And Dark Essence.
Yeah.
Well, what are the
Mainly,
plans for it, or what?
Like Dark Market kind of like Dark Market had a lot of work put into it, but the base class has been kind of ignored, and like many base classes are meh. Like most of the gameplay for at least Z Team revolve around getting Dark Essence.
So he's saying basically like the emphasis is too much on Dark Market, but not enough on the base classes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
like the variety is weird because like people say zombies are broken and they're too powerful, but it's really because they have like a few extremely powerful tools like Cinder Tug or Tickle Nightmare, but the rest of the thing are just mediocre. Like they're not good. You just have a few very good tools, and the rest is in meh.
Not to mention that, like, I've heard that one of the claw buffs, I forget exactly one, but like if you get it early on a class, you can like two-shot people, but that's besides the point.
No, I don't think there's anything that can two-shot people early game. I mean, you're right. There is a lot of emphasis on stronger classes, especially lesser evils, wave 4 and onwards. If you're not getting a lesser evil, whatever, you're going to do a lot less. But I think that's just how it is with the essence, though. You want to build as much as you can, and then just spend it on buffs and stuff and getting stronger. So the idea is that the more essence you gain, the stronger you get. The only changes for the dark market that were planned was some UI improvements, because we've got so many buffs and classes now that it's kind of a pain to scroll through all of it. Demi-boss selection can be improved as well, and that's something I'm planning to do. I don't know if I'm planning to do anything else with the dark market yet, but there's still a lot of room for improvement and more content. But going forward, zombies are going to have a big focus on just using the dark market for their upgrades and everything.
But that doesn't mean the base classes will probably be ignored. If there's a problem with like base classes and not feeling good, they should probably be buffed and compensated for. But I think a lot of the base classes are not in like a terrible spot. I mean, is there like a class that seems like it's in a bad spot?
I mean, there are a couple that like have gotten overshadowed by having really powerful tools to counter some of their
Maybe
more
bloated
debilitating things. I'm gonna say it. I know it's been a meme, but I really think the Ghoul went from a very potent sort of class that catch people off guard, but to basically an annoyance because slows don't really matter, and like
See,
I feel like poison's easier to counter.
I've heard the opposite, where like Enfeeble is so powerful, you just
well, Enfeeble's really powerful, but there was Repose, there were ways to counter Enfeeble. I mean, I don't remember what happened with Repose. I think it was a remove, but
from what I heard from zombie players, I've heard the meta is like you go either like Wretched or Fire Claws early to like 1 or 2 shot like squishy people.
Fire Claws are gone, aren't they?
Or Wretched.
Well, if they're not, they will be by the end of the summer event.
It's just the tools to counter Enfeeble that like also kind of hurt him. But I gotta play more.
Yeah, it's not Fire Claws isn't gone. I've heard that about Fire Claws and Wretched, and I know specifically for bosses, which is kind of a side thing, where Howler is apparently just like the best boss in the game if you know how to use it, because you can just end waves. And I'm not sure. I
don't know. You can end waves with pretty much most of the bosses if they're used correctly.
Well, apparently, like Howler's just like disproportionately powerful.
Well, Howler is very good late game.
I mean, that's fair. Maybe it's just
I think we're getting caught in the weeds here. Yeah, there's a lot of things with basic zombies that just do.
Yeah, it's something we did discuss this before. Yes.
Well, I guess that's it for that question. I hope that answered your, or I hope that answered your question. Thank you, Legion. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on how to say your name.
I'm gonna pick somebody from the bottom. It's easy to pick people from the
Thank you
top.
for your question.
All right.
I see you. Let's
All
turn
right.
it on.
Okay, hold on.
Quickly.
I just stepped in without.
I mean, you said anyone can come
just
in.
ran on
so-
stage.
Oh yeah.
Alright, no, it's fine.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
I'll
Okay,
wait my
do
turn. I'll
you
wait
hear
my turn.
your question? Okay.
I'll wait for
Okay,
it. I'll be a
I want to
bystander.
say something before you speak, Sign. I do want to say that since we're nearing time, I'm gonna let Suski and Silverback, Maya, and Riddick have their questions, and Cyan. That'll be the last 5 people.
All right.
See you.
Alright. Nice,
Here,
you just determined
so-
the last 5, okay.
Yeah.
Cyan, you can ask your
Well,
question.
I didn't think you wanted me to stay in. Okay.
Just
Sorry, I see you.
I was going to
you
come back
afterwards, I guess.
in my turn.
okay. What's
Alright,
the
go
question?
ahead. Try and limit it to one question, please, too. For the rest of the people.
You can ask one Sparkwork and one ZS question.
Come on, shoot. Let's go. Come on.
Cyan?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna...
wait, you're going. I thought you were letting the ICU guy
No,
first.
go
Okay.
ahead, go
My
ahead.
question is: are you going to be changing how nest swapping is working currently? Because that's a very big thing that upsets a lot of players when you have 2 signals left, wave 4, 5, or 6, and then you just have one dude breaking the signal or breaking the nest, causing everyone to swap back and forth. So, is there any plan to address this issue, or are you just gonna leave it as is, or what's the mentality behind this?
Tough one.
I know it's tried to been fixed in the past by like Rayox, and then it just devolved into breaking the nest and then just respawning it to 4 spots to nest switch. I know. Do people actually
Wait,
playing
what?
I don't really
Breaking
see
the
it
nest and
as a
rebuilding
problem.
it? I thought it was based on distance to the sigil, dude.
No. Where like you build 2 nests and then you break
That's
one.
another thing I don't
That was
see
a
as
bug.
a big problem either. But I
That's a
can
good
see
point.
how it's not. I can see how it's kind of like it can slow down the game. But I mean, at the same time, that is a strategic option for zombies to be able to have.
I think this is the part where I pitch. Oh, I see you left. I think this is the part where I pitch in the suggestion that I saw that I wanted to sort of explore. All right, so get this. It's a distress beacon. And whenever a nest switch happens, basically it detects a lot of damage happening to the cade. It shortens the amount of time it takes to teleport to the sigil that's being attacked. I think that would be a good way to
Would that be a
combat.
trinket or would that be a skill or what would that be?
It would be a deployable base because it's a distress beacon. It could be a skill. It's not set in stone, but basically,
I think it would make more sense as something you buy in the shop, like a consumable or a deployable, something like that.
But it would combat nest switching without having to like nerf nests in some way, shape, or form.
That would actually be better, I guess.
that'd be a
I
good
don't. I
solution.
don't want to take nest switching away. I really don't.
It is a viable part of how zombies play, but
it's just
as a
difficult
cater, what
to
happens?
organize it.
Yeah, because
For the people
as cater,
pinging
if I'm
me,
calling it out.
people are pinging me, and
Oh. Well, I bring it up because as a caterer, it becomes a very big issue when the only way to communicate that a nest swap has happened is if people either listen to you on voice or just look at chat and trust you enough to actually go there, which causes a lot of logistical issues as well. So I think a deployable like that would help alleviate that.
Yeah, and I think that honestly should just be accepted as a part of ZS.
Kind of makes me wish that sigil scope was just baseline, but I know that's not.
I wanna say that I don't want to take nest swapping away. Like I want that to be a part of the game, but I know it's frustrating. So I think Magic's idea is probably one of the better ones for solving it.
Yeah, play around it, not just like remove it. Add some
No,
tools
I
to
don't
kinda
think it.
interact
I think
with
it has a place, and it has to be like, and it's good because you kind of want to like narrow down the amount of sigils that are active because it does slow down the game when there's a lot of sigils up. So yeah, there will probably be like changes to it in the future.
Thanks for answering my question.
Well, thank you for asking that.
Okay, what happened to the other guy that vanished?
I have his question. I'll read it out. He asked, "Will the limited time zombies return like Skeleton Archer and Deadeye? And would basic zombies have more variants?"
Limited time.
Well, I think
I don't think Deadeye or Skeleton Archer will ever return, since I just don't think they're healthy for the game.
Yeah, that was the problem with those two classes, is that they were cool concepts as like a Skeleton Archer, but to exist as it was as a normal class, I don't know. They're kind of just projectile spammers.
Yeah.
Well,
They
the
just sit there
issue.
and spam projectiles, and any class that can do that is very annoying to play against and not very engaging.
You don't really have a
Poison
lot of
head crab.
options as a human to do that. I mean, it's poison head crab. Like, look, it's you get a little poison on you. It's not like you're getting shot from the cade.
Well,
with
do
hit
you remember
scan.
when they were first released that people would like stack like 2 or 3 players
Yes,
and
I
like,
remember
hit you at once
that.
and you die instantly?
They'd hit you with the poison headshot, and you get like fucking really messed up.
No, I'm talking about the dead
They
eyes.
used to arc.
The
Oh,
dead
Dead
eyes,
Eyes,
where,
Dead Eyes.
like,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't play for that. I didn't.
No,
I was
you could
there
stack
when
them.
they
You
got
could just
released,
insta-kill
and there
people.
was 2 or 3 players that were stacking dead eyes in one spot, and like someone would come out and they just die instantly from the impact.
That was epic on release that first round. I'll never
Everyone
forget
just
it.
dying.
I think any projectile needs to be straightforward, and maybe they could return as
They need to
something
be
that
limited too.
they have to maybe have like eye. They have to like have. You kind of have to keep them in vision, otherwise they stay outside of like a corruptor type thing. It's really annoying to play against.
You'd almost need them to just still be a melee class, and then whenever they charge up or something, then they can shoot. But if they could just spam from a distance behind props, then it's not healthy for the game.
And yeah, it's really unfun to play against.
Yeah.
So I mean,
they're still in the game. Maybe one day for a weird mode or something, they might come. But I don't think for default
Bonus
ZS
crate.
they'll make a comeback.
Bonus crate.
I want to clarify something I said earlier. Apparently, fire claws are point save, but the wretched claws are main, and that is used.
No, fire claws are on main as well.
Okay, so I got reverse gaslit on someone not even gaslighting me. Okay,
I don't know, maybe.
all right. Well,
This is why I only talk about the game with the code open, man. I just can't. There's too much going on.
Any different fucking fact.
as for variants of like other zombie classes, I remember it was talked about like people always bring up how like X bosses are useless like past like wave 3 or wave 4. I think there was like some concept of like boss evolutions where like some bosses will get like new abilities that only unlock on like wave 5 or 6 to make them more relevant later game.
Maybe. I see Chrono Butcher in the chat. Don't say that.
I think it's fine that certain bosses don't perform as well late game or early game. I think that's okay.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's
But we
bosses
do,
that have
but
niches.
we do want like, we don't want like useless zombies late game, and there
No,
will
of
be,
course
there will
not.
definitely be like work to make sure that zombies are viable at all stages of the
Yeah.
game to at least some degree.
So you heard it
Especially with
here.
We don't
pushing
want grief
out.
bosses.
You heard it here, folks. Wave 6 Butcher will be viable.
Will be Chrono Butcher. Yep, definitely. Not. All right, next.
Next, Suskin.
And thank you for asking that question. Okay, so mute.
Oh yeah.
Another mute.
Make
Okay.
the question really
Community
quick.
polls and roadmap plans. Oh, okay. So you want more like community polls and roadmap? Well, I mean, this is kind of like a start. Kind of wanted to do this to see what we if people want to see us talk about ZS more.
Okay, Scott, about that, I think we can make a Trello for the roadmap. Honestly, I'm pretty sure he suggested
People are
this.
kind of
don't
spontaneous, though.
Okay, I'm gonna just say I don't think we should have like a complete roadmap planned out. But I mean, I get that people want that, but things change from day to day, and ZS gets updated a lot.
And people
Yeah,
just
we're
work
all
on what they want
volunteers.
usually.
Yeah, it's really tough to make a roadmap. But as for polls, I mean, we could do more, and it's actually really good to have a poll because for this podcast / Q&A, I kind of wanted to have the poll to discuss at the start and then take questions later. So I mean, we could just do more polls more often, and then I mean,
And
we'd
more
have to
depth
think about
talk.
the questions. And I do think that this is kind of like a step in the right direction to do more dev podcasts and or Q&As.
Yeah, I think podcasts are a good idea.
So I don't really have much else to add on that.
Yeah.
Other than that, and no, Monkey, you can't talk again.
No, you
Maybe
cannot
next
talk.
time.
I actually think this is going like this has actually been really swell. People are asking good questions. It seems like everyone's having a good time, and it's very
All right,
nice
next.
to be engaged.
Okay, next
thank
is
you, Zeus, for that question. I hope I answered.
okay. Next is Silverback, then Maya, then Riddick, and we can end this here.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Hello.
Okay. So this is more actually. How are you guys doing? Okay.
We're doing good.
You're doing fine.
Cool.
I'm
Sucks.
sick. I have COVID. Yeah.
That's nice.
It fucking sucks, dude. Anyways, this is more of a question about the overall direction of where Sunrust is going. Is that okay to ask? It's not necessarily about
Sure.
ZS.
Yeah.
Okay. So, considering the fact that we have a lot of players that come from CS:GO, and we've had like varying successes of ZE. Some people have their own feelings about it. Obviously, a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. Do you have any thoughts or plans possibly to like expand your servers into maybe like say CS:GO or even like Team Fortress 2, maybe like
I
make
can
a
answer
ZE
those.
server and all?
I understand what you're saying. I can answer that. Okay, so I did ask a long time ago if people wanted other game modes, and we do host other games at time to time. Like we have the Project Zomboid that Devo wants to run. It's more like, do we find people to run those servers, or do we just like leave them to die? So the problem is like, I mean, sure, we can put them up for an event. Like we did have the CS:GO event server, but I don't know who would run the Z server, and then there's competition for that. Like that whole entire market is saturated with like GFL and stuff, so it's like I don't know what we have to offer that they don't offer. So
A rich community.
I mean, like we don't really have the amount of drive to make a Z server in CS:GO and to have it like alive. And I'm not saying that we can't do it. Like I'm sure we can. Like the server can support a ton of servers if we wanted. But to stretch that far out is a little difficult, and we don't really have the people to run those types of servers, and they'll probably just like be up and then they'll die. But I mean, I'm all for that. If
I thought-
if we want to experiment. So yeah.
I mean, historically, we had that. What was it? That CS server that stayed for like a weekend and then it died.
Oh, that's like a different thing. Like having different ZS servers is completely different.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that's more of our domain. And I mean, I did think it'd be more interesting to have more ZS servers, but if there's a server that's coming up, then I'd want it to be different. I want it to be different enough that people would play it and not feel like it's a clone of a server that already
Yeah, not like
exists.
side server was. Which
I
just
don't really like the
another
idea of.
server.
Well, I don't like the idea of the same thing with low pop. I'm fine with what Tori's doing. That's completely different.
I think mini games was cool, but it never got played.
And if we're talking about like another community like Midnight and hosting that, that's different. But as for other games, I don't know if we can actually do that. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. Thanks, guys.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for asking.
So we have like 2 more questions left, I think.
Yeah, my ear. Actually, I do have. There's one about the Banished, but I'm gonna leave that for last. So let Maya speak first.
Okay, Maya.
Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Hey, I just only had one question about if the medic class is going in a stable direction. I'm not saying it has to be anything specific, but I've seen that the medic classes went through like a lot of changes, even ever since I last played it. I just wanted to know if it was, going in any stable direction with the updates and such.
So you're wondering if we have a set idea for the medic
where it's
we
going.
think it's being a
Yeah, because like
healthy.
there's some things like the sorry. But yeah, there's things like the rejuvenator that is like the biggest example. It goes through like a lot of buffs and then sometimes it gets nerfed and then it gets buffed again, so
I think there should be more things like the rejuvenator that are more just focused on healing, personally. And there was there was like something that I did think would be cool is like kind of like how Mercy is in Overwatch, like a healing gun that can also buff between switching between healing and buffing, and then it has like a build-up bar that can either give you an effect or something. So like the more you heal, and then it's like has like a build-up bar in it. So I mean, there aren't enough healing focused things, I think. So maybe there will be more in the future. So I don't know. There isn't really like a really set in stone direction for medics, but I guess you'd have to ask people who are willing to make stuff for it.
It's just a class that's very strong and needs to be strong, and all their weapons are very touchy in mid to late game. That's all.
So yeah, I'm sure you'll see more stuff in the future regarding medics, like straight healing.
alright, yeah, I get that. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Hope that answered.
Next one is Riddick, and then we will end it up with Firestorm's question.
Okay.
Oh, just as a quick aside, I have the reward pulled up for tonight.
Okay, so I'm guessing Riddick's mute, so we'll have to
The reward, you mean the movie night reward?
I think their movie night reward isn't gonna. It's a bit outdated because it still gives out model tokens.
Oh. Okay, so this is a mute question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll read it out. A lot of longer-term players have run afoul of updated. Okay, so this is the
filtration system.
This is something that okay. I mean, okay, I'll put it out there. I don't really like the idea, and this is a little more complicated. I don't really like the idea of letting disgusting people on the server. And I know, like, people, it's funny. Like, personally, okay, it's really funny letting Dark Soulless go on his rants or Necro Shader say really nasty things, like, okay, it's really funny. But I mean, in the long term, it could like put eyes on us, and like, some people say really questionable things, and I don't really feel comfortable. Like, it might jeopardize Sunrust as a whole to allow people to say those types of things.
Yeah,
And it
don't
is pretty
forget.
harsh right now because we did get we did have eyes on us with Discord, and
Yeah.
I would prefer not to lose Discord.
Twice. We had ice twice.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
prefer not to lose Discord because that's our primary method of communication, and that's exactly what we're having the Q&A on right now.
Yeah.
So I would. It's not that I get offended. It's not that any of us really get offended by any of the things that people say or the graphic things that are shown in private or whatever. It's more like I want to keep Discord, and I think most people want to keep Discord as a primary method of communication. And I think not being able to say terrible things is a good trade-off.
Small
I also
Personally,
think if you're like a decent human being, you don't necessarily have to say
and
these.
also I don't want to like foster a community of people who are like just extra nasty.
Well,
I don't know how to like put it.
Scott, it's basically not only Discord, but basically to keep the server afloat as well, because we can also be delist or basically targeted.
Yeah, I
that's
just
the
don't
thing.
want
There's
eyes on
mods
us
too, I
for the
think.
most part. I don't want eyes on us for the most part. Like I do,
know-
I kind of just want to keep ZS up. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
know for
personally
me-
offended by anything. Nobody's personally offended by anything. It's just I want to keep Discord safe. I want to keep Sunrust up.
I also think that having a little like healthier chat is just better for
the community.
Yeah, in general.
And as for like rules and harassment, I don't tolerate it. I think we should move past that. I think we should move past like allowing people to say nasty things for no reason.
We're not Nox.
It's
Yeah, we're
not
not
about
Nox.
being Nox or not, so I wouldn't make that comparison. It's just about it's just about fostering a community of non-shitheads.
Just be decent
I
for
don't
each
really
other, for
want
fuck's
shitheads
sake.
here. Like, it's okay to be a shithead, just not like an extra shithead that goes on the server and says really nasty things and disrupts the game.
Basically, the full of jet boom.
Yeah, we don't want you to have a mental breakdown. And
But I'm not saying that you should just be nice all the time. I don't really care that much.
I mean, you can be an individual, just like don't be a shithead, like you
I don't know.
said.
It's hard to really quantify like.
Yeah, it
what
is up to
exactly means.
discretion. It's up to discretion.
But
so,
like,
again,
I don't know, certain things what people say to each other, you could just kind of feel it. Like it's just not that's too far, and
Like
it's
if
not going
someone's
to be
making
like.
thinly veiled like jokes that aren't even jokes, I'm gonna fucking mute them because they're being shitheads. So like, I don't know.
it's more complicated than I can really put into words.
Yeah.
It's more like just don't be like a 4chan type asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't be one of those army people.
And I get that there's been people here who have done things in the past, like myself. I have said nasty things before, so I get it. And I've indulged in Dark Solus and Necroshader themselves. So, but I think we can all move on and accept that maybe it's not the best idea long term to keep those types of people around, even though they are funny. I do agree. Dark Solus is funny.
Dark Souls is funny,
To a
but
degree.
sometimes,
But then you don't get in Discord with him and then have him annoy you.
You think it's funny, and then he unnails everything and single-handedly makes everyone die, and then you don't think it's that funny anymore.
And also, again, a little off topic. I kind of want to move past like enabling really shitty people to get away with things just because they're a community favorite.
Yeah,
to some degree, it gives us it gives like a bad rap. Like I get shit for it, and I know I get shit from both sides, so I kind of have to pick a side on that. Where people find, for example, Dark Souls funny, and I'll keep him around because people find him funny. And then there's the people who don't find him funny. It's like, why the fuck are you keeping this guy around? He says nasty things. He harasses people. He creeps on women. He says really weird things. Why are you keeping him around? So it's kind of like I have to pick a side on that. And I mean, I don't doubt that the recorded funny bits of him are funny. So I hope that the videos are enough to satisfy your needs to see him talk. I don't think I could allow people like him to stay around anymore.
Sorry to cut in here, but I gotta head out for now. I'm feeling pretty miserable. Thanks for having me here,
All right.
guys.
Well,
Thanks for asking questions.
Well, thank
I'll
you.
be around.
I didn't think the Q&A was that bad.
Damn.
So I hope that answers your question. I know it's a complicated one, Riddick. I hope that about sums it up. It's more complicated than I can really put into words, though. So thank you for asking, though.
All right.
Okay, and last question.
All right, last one.
Firestorm, get in here. Oh yeah.
Hi, Firestorm.
Actually, hold on. Personal health boost. Fragger told me about personal health boost being removed. Does anyone have an answer for that one?
So we're asking like a quick one.
Yeah.
A really quick one, so we can.
that one, the personal health boost thing.
Yes, for zombies.
We talked about that, didn't we?
We talked about health scaling, but not the personal.
Oh, you mean the dark market one? Well,
Yeah,
wasn't that just used on Big Bull?
It's like a free heal.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I personally don't think it should have been removed.
Oh, there's a question, by the way.
Yeah, I personally don't think it should have been removed, but whatever. I guess we'll talk more about that between ourselves or amongst ourselves.
Brought back. It just needs to be a bit better controlled because you could do a team, so the horde health boost and then personal health boost, and you just spawn with more health than you should, really.
Oh no! Now they say it, there's actually a bug regarding that. You can personal health boost as a crow, then personal health boost again as a zombie, and you get double of that. Yeah, that can. Yeah, that's
so
also
that'll probably be fixed then.
Yeah, so it can be brought back. It just needs some additional checks to make sure that you can't exploit it. But yeah, I'm planning on bringing it back at some point. I just disabled it because that was just a quicker and easier solution.
For now.
Yeah.
It's more like it will come back, just not right now.
Speaking of dark market stuff, did you ever fix the skeleton executioner pairing you and flicking your screen 980 degrees?
What do you mean fix?
That's intentional?
Yeah.
Flicking your
I mean, it
screen
could be toned
980
down,
degrees,
but-
making you spin around?
I mean, yeah.
Okay,
Probably
well.
come down a
fair
bit,
enough. I thought
but
that was a
it's not
bug.
a bug. No.
I thought that was a bug, me getting parried and flicking my screen around 800 billion degrees.
No, it's intentionally coded that way.
What the fuck?
Norma has just ran into a revelation.
Okay, my bad.
There you go, bro.
All right, Firestorm.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so no, he pinged me. Okay, so will we see a Banished rework? Well, I know that pushing
Yes.
out for Banish is getting easier once in a while. I don't like having to enter into a shop. Okay, dozens of zombies interrupted. Okay, yeah, Magic said he's gonna revamp it.
I said that basically the biggest issue with Banished right now is A, the curses, and B, the shop UI.
I think the curses are okay now, actually.
Well, there could be some more that are not like just straight up stat debuffs. You know, people had many interesting ideas that, you know, should be explored, and honestly, it just seems to fun to use. Some of the curses that people suggest are kind of fun, you know. But
insanity buff.
you know, besides the buff, most of the annoying insanities are either toned down or removed. My solution for the UI was to add some method of being able to purchase at the Banished in the Cade, but you still have to go to the Banished somehow. And my idea was that you spend points at the Banished, and when you go back to the Cade, you can select what you want. But you know, it's something we're looking at. It's something I'm thinking of the best way to do that. And
Oh, did you remove butt cramps? Because that was one that was getting a lot.
it's reduced to like 5 seconds now, or like 3 seconds.
So basically, Magics have like a tier selection, a weapon tier selection, like ammo selection, but for weapons.
Well, think of it this way: you walk out. This is like the idea I threw out. You walk out and you press C on the bench. You get like a. I used the soul gem from Oblivion as like an example, or the Elder Scrolls, and you fill it up with points, and then you can take that back to the Cade, and use that gem to purchase from the Banished. So you can look through the UI in the safety of the Cade, but you still have to deal with like curses and all that stuff.
Though I think Greyouts had the idea of letting you queue up the items for Banished, which is
I think that's kind of a meme.
No,
I'm gonna be real
okay.
here.
Really?
No disrespect to Reacts. I don't think that would work out.
Okay, so you're gonna make it summon a portal that spawns demons when you get your banished item in the cave?
No.
Damn.
Maybe baby head crabs.
Grief your own team.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about it for the Banish rework question. Did that answer your question, Firestorm?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, there you go then. Thank you very much, Firestorm.
I got pinged 3 times while I was explaining that.
Yeah, I saw you about what happened like a few minutes ago.
Does anybody have like rapid fire questions? Maybe a few questions. Rapid
Yes or
fire,
no?
maybe very quick
Very
stuff
fast
that you could
question.
say. Very fast.
Not you, monkey.
All
Fuck
right,
off.
three people. We're gonna bring them up, and we're just gonna say yes or no.
I mean, there's already one question. Can some curses?
Oh, we
be
could just
cancelable?
we could just read in the stream voice chat. If you want to ask a rapid fire question in the stream voice chat,
It's a lightning
do it
round. Let's
now.
go.
Lightning round, and then we'll end it.
Headcrabs coming back as normal zombies? No.
Yeah, they're
Will
not
players
coming
get a
back.
tutorial?
Ooh, maybe,
Maybe,
but not right now.
It's like CS:GO tournament. We don't know.
Yeah, that's up to foe. Acid traits for vet mode. That's up to
Redeeming
somebody.
without skills. I have no idea.
That'll be fixed.
Okay. Would it be possible to remove time/event restrictions from achievement? I guess that'd be fine. Honestly, I guess we can remove it. I mean, I don't really like time restricted achievements.
No Z on main. No Z on unless it's a special event. No Z on main. No increasing Ember gain right now. Mappers get the ability to add banish rifts. Okay,
That'd be really good, I think.
I cannot buff the blue orchid. No,
it's
no.
planned in the future.
I can't.
Fitness channel maybe.
I'm not saying why. I'd have to rework it.
Matt Marsh, that is way too long of a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt March, that idea, I had an idea called Golden Sigil, and that Golden Sigil is basically a sigil that's. I know it's a really stupid idea, but
Here's my idea. We add time worn weapons, and they have old stats, and you get them from clicking 8 buttons or something.
Changes.
All right, I'll do a fitness channel
Roll task
later.
force shirt. Tristan timed out. Monkey timed out.
All right, but yeah, hold on. The golden sigil will be basically like the sigil that doesn't have enough escapes on it. So basically, the weakest sigil is possible, and that sigil will actually give a buff to humans if they're actually nearby it, whether it be not point gain, but rather damage, or at least a better damage resistance to themselves.
Bro, that's just the
maybe the sigil itself has more.
Is it going to take on is it going to take on a crate shape? Is point safe finally crossing over in main?
Well, it's just going to turn the sigil into a golden state, which means it's more valuable.
2% reload because we're getting rid of reload from the skill tree. That's why.
Elden sigil.
But yeah, it's an idea that I had a very, very long time, and I don't know, it's really stupid.
It's fishing rod staying after.
Yeah, the fishing rod. That's up to Magic.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's going to be looked at, of course.
Yeah, I don't really like that the fishing rod can fish in puddles. It's a little weird.
What do you think of deliberation, guys? What do you think of deliberation? Look at that. I like being able to fish in a sink. Come on.
But yeah.
Buff shitty unused guns. It'll happen.
Look at deliberation.
But yeah,
that's awesome.
I forgot that thing existed.
All right, for those of you who stuck it to the
That's a
end
bad
of cinema,
skill.
you'll be getting your reward.
But
Maybe. Oh, we'll end it at 5:20. 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
So if you get 2 more minutes, two more minutes to get on the cinema server. If you're here, you can get your reward.
We're not banning people for being too good or too shit.
Yeah, not banning people. 2 more minutes of rapid fire questions.
I should probably get rid of that. Should probably get rid of that check where they had to be on the server for 10 minutes.
Should I make Big Cool the fucking
guess you could do
doctor
that.
from that Russian thing
Yes.
for Halloween?
Yes.
Okay.
No, wait, you can't. Big Ghoul's got his Adidas for Halloween.
No, make it a 1% chance of spawning. Just
There won't be a server for testing anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there
live
is.
for
It's
Big
on
D.
point save.
Well, yeah, it is point save. Wink,
But
wink.
he means personal testing server.
Yeah,
which
personal.
I
No,
had
there
one.
won't be.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, there won't be. Not officially, anyway.
Yeah, not officially. Or
I mean, people were using the
unofficially.
dev servers to test secret builds. So,
Well, my server, it was actually my server, but I took it off.
Point
Because
save.
Because I'm not gonna.
Boom
I'm
stick
not
ever
gonna
work with
pay.
capacity ever again? No.
I mean, to be honest, to be fair, I'm not gonna pay $80 for a giant server that only gets used for testing purposes. So.
Point save, but you have to squint your eyes to ignore the Wonder Fizz and all that other
Will
stuff.
secondary effect chance make a return? I don't know.
All right.
That's
I
the-
think,
that's the-
I think that's it for now.
Okay,
It's just spamming Chen stare.
I did want to say about something about the golden sigil. It's still an idea that I'm still trying to flesh out, but it's not going to happen anytime. So don't think it's going to happen. To be honest.
All right.
Possibility of
remove
infrasigil
Chen
nodes.
stare. I'm staring at you right now.
Scarf, you just have to suggest shit for that.
Yeah,
and
just suggest it.
Oh, and some curses being cleansable? No, they're not going to be cleansable. Let's be real.
Well, I think that about wraps up our
Yeah,
first.
only Shen stairs now. I think that's it.
Yeah, that about wraps up our Q&A /
How about this,
podcast.
guys? I'll
All
make
right.
Chen stare the zombie skin for Halloween. How about that?
Yes,
You
Chen
should be
stare
getting
is
your reward now.
Make Gunk and Frost cleanse. I think they already are cleansable. What do you mean?
10,000. Give him another 40. Give him.
I made them
Oh
cleansable.
no,
a while ago.
it's actually 30,000, but I forgot to change the number in the message.
good job.
20.
Really good job.
Give him another 20. It's okay.
Combine
They
stare.
stuck it out for 2 hours. They can get more.
That actually was a lot more fun than I thought.
Or just give it again. I don't really care.
When's the next Q&A, Scott?
I don't know.
Can someone?
We'll see.
That'll be
Can you turn
discussed
that
amongst
off?
us. That'll be discussed amongst us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that about wraps up our first dev Q&A. Thank you for everybody for listening, and thank you to the devs who showed up. Thank you for our guest stars of Pete Town and Drew.
Guest stars, excuse me.
You are the guest. Yeah, because it was supposed to be 4, but I just said whoever wants to come can come.
Oh.
And then I was forced on cinema, even though.
Yeah, I dragged Gorm on.
I think that the next Q&A session, just look for the event thing.
That was
Yeah.
fine with the podcast. I didn't expect to go on
I'm
cinema.
thinking a more streamlined set time for the next one. Kind of like I kind of tried to make it 1 hour of us talking and then 1 hour of answering questions.
I mean, we did get there. 1 hour of talking, then 1 hour for audience.
I was thinking about monthly, not or every 2 months maybe, but I want to do like a poll to have like a baseline of stuff for us to discuss, so it's not like us just rambling. And also, I want to provide like ample time for the game mode to change. So yeah.
So yeah, and when we have our next Q&A, you can tell us how good we're doing and how many things we didn't address.
Yeah. Please,
tell me
please,
about
you
how
can
to
give
fix
feedback on the Q&A. Maybe we missed something. I mean, Zeus is pretty extensive to talk about, and even just 2 hours. You could spend all day in ZS discussions talking about ZS. I know there's some people who do that. So yeah, thank you again for everybody for listening, and thank you to the devs who shut up. And I hope everybody has a great day.
How was that? That was pretty good.
All right, get out of here.
All right, boys. Peace out.
Jesus.
Now. I don't know if someone recorded it though. I hope somebody recorded it. I didn't record it.
Insanity Bomb recorded it.
Ah, okay, good.
He had to cut it off a little bit early because he was running out of space and time.
It's all right. Maybe someone else did.
Yeah, but TLDR is most people, or most of it was taken. I don't know if it's
All
from the game perspective as well, but definitely from Discord.
All right. Well, that's good then.
Oh my god!
It's lagging the server. Oh my screen.
Oh my god!
Alright, I'm gonna go and ZS and premiere the Nidus Worm.
Oh
Which you
no!
can't
You
actually
leaked
do
it.
as
No, you
well.
can't leak. No.
Well, I'm going back to Final Fantasy
Going on
14. I'll
ZS,
see you guys in
Bye,
1 month.
everybody.
Maybe P10 will actually
ZS.
update the game for once instead of wasting his time with Final Fantasy 14.
Let me waste my time in that game.
We should get Necro up with his
But what
music.
if I just stream
Damn
it for you guys?
Yo, fucking premiere stage streaming of
Oh
Final
shit, he's going to bed.
Fantasy
Damn it.
14 food eating simulator.